Fire for your mind. The Kosher Clinician.
If it ain't seven, it ain't kosher. Heaven and hell, that's what they told you. Real men put the strap down and we can toss them. Young heads picking back up and young dolphins. This is our culture. Now we talking kosher. Clinician, masculinity issues. Asking fathers who miss you. Mama drama don't kiss you. All a part of the ritual. This is how they get you. Separate the men, women clipping babies pretend to. Damn. Lovers, haters acting like vultures. If it ain't seven, it ain't kosher. If it ain't kosher, ain't right, gotta divorce us. If it ain't seven, it ain't kosher. If it ain't kosher, ain't right, gotta divorce us. If it ain't seven, it ain't kosher. If it ain't kosher, ain't right, gotta divorce us. This is kosher condition. 7 wonders, the whole world gotta listen. This is kosher condition. 7 wonders, the whole world gotta listen. This is kosher condition. 7 wonders, the whole world gotta listen. This is kosher condition. 7 wonders, the whole world gotta listen. Listen. Listen.
See, these dudes kill me. That's what's wrong with this generation today. These young boys today. What do she bring to the table? The hell you mean, man? What do your ass bring to the table? You got a woman that can come to the table that can make another you. What else she need to slide up to the table with? What about your job? What happened to men who were supposed to be responsible? Do you know that it's our job to take care of a woman and some children, to have a family? That's our damn job.
You know what to do. Hit the subscribe button and become an official member of Club Shay Shay, where we do something for two something. Right here.
Thank you, Steve Harvey. Not really.
Steve Harvey was on that interview, dog, and they've been showing it a little bit.
I told you it was good. I liked it.
That was weak as a motherfucker.
I like that interview.
How is this motherfucker allowed to give advice?
Man.
This is a goofy. He married that hustle money.
Bruh.
Everybody know it. First of all, you've been married how many times?
3.
Bruh.
3 times.
I got an itch in my palm. My girl, she know she the one. I put the ice on her hand. I put some ice on her arm. See me shining in the light. Know you found me in the dark. Talking how you wanna leave. Girl, you made this far. Taking trips overseas. No, I won't be long. We came up from the weeds. Now it's top floor. All these big yes on her wrist. VVS is on her neck. Make it spin and I don't stress. When I make it stretch. Double back to back then. Down broke, now we rich. Spend it on her, let her spin. Down with me to the end. That my best friend. That my best friend. That my best friend. I'ma spend it on her, cause she all mine. Spend it on a challenge, cause she all mine. There for my first cake, then we hit 100K. $500,000 on the way, then $1 million on the way. Eating good full plates, eating good say grace. Eat her up, get thanks, she got cake birthday. I can't waste no way, I can't waste no play. My girl, whoa, something like the baddest chick. My girl, whoa, came from the rags to rich. Hit the road running, I had to tell her I had to get it. She understood, but she spoiled, so when she get mad, she dip. All these big yes on her wrist, VVS is on her neck. Make it spin and I don't stress. When I make it stretch. Double back to back then. Down broke, now we rich. Spend it on her, let her spin. Down with me to the end. That my best friend. That my best friend. That my best friend. I'ma spend it on her, cause she all mine. Spend it on a challenge, cause she all mine. All these big yes on her wrist, VVS is on her neck. Make it spin and don't stress. When I make it stretch. Double back to back then. Down broke, now we rich. Spend it on her, let her spin. Down with me to the end. That my best friend. That my best friend. That my best friend. I'ma spend it on her, cause she all mine. All these big yes on her wrist, VVS is on her neck. Make it spin and don't stress. Spend it on a challenge, cause she all mine. That my best friend. That my best friend. That my best friend.
relationship deprivation.
When you date a woman and she may be a potential wife, it's a competition thing all the way. I can't take it no more.
They feel propped up because they feel more beholden to the government. And then their man comes second. That's why they figure that they're strong, independent, don't need no man because they have the government.
Because the men are failing us, to be honest. Guys thinking about themselves and they'll think about you after you react.
You don't hear anything about being good wives and all this other stuff. What you hear is you strong and you independent. You can do it on your own. You got black girl magic, black girl rock, but you ain't said nothing about black family.
My mother is like what they consider to be the strong black woman. I feel like I projected that onto the guys that I dated.
Ladies have no idea how stiff their competition really is. You have no clue how black men are viewed in the rest of the world. We are the #1 most sexually desired man on the face of this planet.
They would call Jesus Dusty if he was here living in America because of the gross narcissism that a lot of our women have.
Power deprivation.
His money doesn't go to his child. His money goes to the system.
Personal accountability is one of those things that just goes across the board.
It's none of his business how it's being spent. Just pay the money and we'll take care of the rest.
I see why people walk away. I see why dads walk away. And it's the system. It's the system that's driving them away.
I let her know I ain't got no money for no Jordans. You call your dad or do whatever you gotta do. You can get 2 pair a year, that's it.
The non-custodial father has rights. So the mother just jumps up and say, you can't see your child, I can't go see the child.
When he said that he was going to take all of my custodial rights away, I was literally devastated.
The family court is one of the most dangerous courtroom in the world.
This makes it near impossible. I can't understand how most guys can even begin to approach the situation.
When a woman gets pregnant, one of these basketball players, baseball players, wealthy guys, it's called a cash register. Because that's what that child is, it's cash register.
There is no accountability. You write that check or you go to jail.
Affection deprivation.
Women are noticing that their men are crossing the borders to find happiness, romance, or even just somebody to have a good time, hang out with. I come to Brazil, I sit down at the table, I order food. Young lady places a drink in front of me, opens my straw, puts it in my glass, and I'm chilling. Doesn't make her less of a woman, doesn't make me more of a man. It's just that we have different roles in life, and she knows hers, and I know mine.
Several years ago, I read an article from Essence Magazine in regards to African-American men going to Brazil.
There's been a number of articles since the Essence story.
The article was not pleasant at all. It was quite negative.
The article is racially motivated, and to me it's just another attack on the black man.
I feel in conversating with other guys who have adventured here, you should come here and experience what she has to offer Brazil.
People that write the article saying that they don't understand why we come to this place or any other place are biased because they've never experienced it.
Every black man should come down one time before you be put in this earth to see how this culture treats you. It's heaven.
You don't want to come down to Rio. I said, because if you do, you're going to come back thinking, how can I get rid of her? You know, and I just said, I can't put it to you wrong. I said, if you married and you love your wife and you're satisfied, I said, don't come here.
If you're looking for cheap sex with pretty girls, I think to a certain extent you're almost like a predator.
they are nothing but lies, and they should not have been accepted by the black women. That article is to bridge the gap between you, and that's the reason that article came by.
It's not an issue until the black man starts doing it.
I agree.
All right, guys, we're going to have a good show on tonight. I got a dear friend and guest of mine. As we talk about a pathology or a situation called unconscious simping. I told you guys before in the past, consistent with Frederick Douglass said it better than me. He said that power never conceded to anything without a struggle. It never have, and it never will. It appears that Steve Harvey and many modern men are conceding power because they give their power away to women that are not worthy of that said power, and they give them the resource and the attention and love that they don't deserve. Gravely trained simping is a term that I came up with because the gravely trained simp thinks that he's going to get the same respect that his grandfather got and the same cooperation. But on tonight, my dear friend, A Peaceful Life, and I are going to explore the dynamics of Steve Harvey and the particular thinking errors that Steve Harvey particularly could have more or less exhibited, not understanding the power that he have and how we as men should move in modern times when it come down to demanding power instead of more or less deferring power. Get your pens and paper ready, guys. I'm about to drop some fire for your mind on tonight.
Fire.
Let's do it.
For your mind. The kosher clinician.
Left it to the bank like left it to the bank like
It appears that Steve Harvey and so many other men are being laughed at to the bank by the modern woman because Steve Harvey and so many don't understand that women only respect power and strength. How can you reduce a woman laughing at you as you're trying to get clarity and balance in a time where shame no longer exists? What say you?
Please don't get me mad, I'm a nice guy. My baby say I'm cute, yeah, I'm tight fine. I be waking up when you go night-night. In a different zone with the time. Left it to the bank like ooh, go. Left it to the bank like I got in it 10s, 20, 50, 100s, 10s, 20, 50, 100s, 10s, 20, 50, 100s, 10s, 20, 50, 100s. I get it, I flip it and continue. I've been going dumb, I've been going mental. Going up, I'm on another level. All black clothes like a metal. Little this and this, little Rick and Rick. My grandmama, I'm her Nicky Nick. I just wanna love, but I've been hit or miss. I might up and leave, yeah, take a pic. Laugh it to the bank like laugh it to the bank like I got any 10s, 20, 50, 100s, 10s, 20, 50, 100s, 10s, 20, 50, 100s, 10s, 20, 50, 100s.
All right, man. You know, this is going to be a good show tonight, guys. I need you guys to share the stream. Me and Peaceful Life. We're going to drop some fire for your mind on tonight.
Fire for your mind.
You know,
the kosher clinician.
They said that the more things change, guys, the more they remain the same. And so many men compromise their power, guys, because they don't understand the value that they have. So many have unresolved issues as it relates to their self-esteem that they allow women like Marjorie Harvey to dictate to them what they should be getting or what she should get, instead of a man having values and standards and saying, this is what it is. Either you're a part of it or you're not. And we wonder, as we look across the kaleidoscope of time, why so many men in modern times have compromised their standards. And A Piece of Life and I understand that when we were in the past, growing up in Gen X, men had greater standards. And while we were simps to some degree, we didn't simp as much as men are simping now. And I get it partially with Steve Harvey, because see, Steve Harvey came up in a time where women were more genteel, and he probably was conditioned by his father, because the mother of Steve Harvey was a different type of woman compared to the woman now. But Steve Harvey, I respect you highly, brother. I'm not here to disrespect you. But Steve Harvey needs a simp intervention plan. And that simp intervention plan, based on what I'm talking about, is the unconscious simp. The unconscious simp, what he does this. He supplements irrational male patterns of behavior. And he supplements irrational male patterns of behavior because Steve Harvey have not, more or less made Marjorie not necessarily have all 100% access to his money. You should never let a woman have 100% access to your money, because modern women by nature are hypergamous. And because modern women are hypergamous, and many practice a condition called carnal hypergamy, what happens if you're not consistent with understanding women, this is what happens to you. You become a sucker for love. Yeah, you become a sucker for love, man, because see, love is an emotion. And some of us has been suckers for love. We were conditioned in the 90s to play love ballads and love songs. And while it's okay to love your woman within reason, if you love your woman more than you love yourself, it becomes a problem. And I've talked about it before many times. But once again, men, they supplement irrational male patterns of behavior, because it's irrational to give a woman 100% of your bank account. It's irrational to give a woman the kind of attention that Steve Harvey is giving a woman that's a recipient and a byproduct of multiple baby daddies. She's been married twice, and she does not have the virtue that women of old had. Now listen, I need you guys to understand this. I don't have a problem with a man taking care of his woman. A man should take care of his woman, he should take care of his family, and he should take care of his children. But what Steve Harvey didn't understand was this. Men are the prize catchers. Women look up to men. So how can she be the prize if she's looking up for the best man to progenate her species? And a man's responsibility is not to take care of any women or all women. And so it becomes irrational because men don't know what their power is. But A Piece of Life and I, we're going to explore it on tonight. We're going to talk about it. And he just came back from Thailand, and we're going to tell you guys why you have compromised your power with a condition called hoflation, and why relationship capitalism is the greatest variable when it comes down to getting the best outcomes overall. So Peaceful Life, he's going to be back in a minute, but I think you guys get the gist. I think you guys get the gist of what I'm saying. And I think you guys understand what I'm saying when it comes down to modern women in modern times. I'm going to ask you guys a question when it comes down to women. Have you compromised your power? And if you have compromised your power, how have you compromised your power in modern times? How have you allowed your power to be compromised in a negative way? Are you letting women dictate to you how to move as a man? Because I believe a woman should be treated well, but she got to bring equally to the table what you bring to the table as a man. Steve Harvey thinks that a woman should just get it just because, but we're going to examine why not. So, Peaceful Life, there's a problem in America, man, and it's called unconscious simping.
Major problem. Can you hear me?
I can hear you perfect, man.
Oh, excellent, excellent.
I can hear you perfect, man. So what's wrong with Steve Harvey, Peaceful Life? What's wrong with him, man? What's wrong with Peaceful Life, man? He like he's unconscious simping, man.
outside of being a complete fraud.
He's perfect, man. Yeah.
You know, everything is wrong with him. And that's one of the biggest problems that we have right now. The question becomes, who are the people that we're listening to? And right now, in this environment, people could kind of construct their own reality and virtue signal in these spaces without anybody, because what happens nowadays is that everybody is so in tune with hearing what caters to their feelings. Because remember, feelings have become more important than truth. Right. And obviously he's the biggest panda bear out there in terms of catering to the women. So many times they overlook all of his deficiencies or how he's actually lived his life because he's telling them what they want to hear. And we saw the same thing with Derek Jackson. He's accommodating their feelings. And in this society where we've gotten rid of shame and we've gotten rid of judgment, we've gotten rid of all the things that help people in order, he's the perfect guy to come in there to say the things that he needs to say, to go straight to the bank. And women have no problem with that, as long as he tells them what they want to hear, because that's what people are today.
Yeah, man. And it's problematic, Peaceful Life, because you and I remember a time when men had higher levels of standards. And I'm going to ask you a question. Do you think that Steve Harvey is giving women a false sense of hope? Because I need you guys to understand what I'm saying. We don't have a problem with a man taking care of his woman. But a woman being taken care of is not a mandate by a man just by default. When he say a woman brings herself to the table and she replicates you, that makes no sense, Steve Harvey, because the woman was made for the man. So the woman should bring something to the table. The reason why modern men are asking that question, because so many modern women have become selfish. And we know it's not all, but sadly too many have. And they think just because a man should, take care of them and provide for them. But no, sweetheart, that comes with a price. The man is the prize catcher. And she got to come to the table with something that can help that man build his kingdom. What should a woman bring to the table in modern times to assist a man in building his legacy? Because we understand that the men going to more or less take care of the majority of the things, but you got women that don't have the virtue of past, but they expect a man to pay all the bills. So what should a woman bring to the table, Peaceful Life, in your opinion?
Well, for the starters, it's her femininity, her cooperation, her love, her support. Women they're just a feminine enhancer to a man, to be honest with you. And one of the major things as well is just peace, to be able to help a man create a peaceful, loving home. Those things are very important. I mean, you're talking about a support system that helps you facilitate the things that you want in life and your objectives in life, or to help you with your purpose in life. And the problem we have with guys like Steve Harvey is that they always come to the table, but the simps like him always see women as better than them.
Right.
Like in his mind, he thinks that he scored a prize. Hold on a second. They say somebody still can't hear me. Let me see. Make sure my sound is correct.
Yeah, I can hear you.
You can hear me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And make sure my sound. All right. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Can you guys hear me on my channel?
I can hear you perfect.
Okay, you can hear me perfectly.
I can hear you perfect. If you guys can hear Ingram, hit 1. I can hear him.
Okay, somebody said they still can't hear me on my side.
Okay, well, let me write these super chats while I can hear you perfect. Right. So in the meantime, shout out to my man Gregory Scott for the 20. He says, salute culture. Too many men in the baby boomer generation and Gen X bought into the idea of stepdaddy insurance policy. Even if you do and I didn't, our generation of men have to wear the goat horns on it. And he's right. He's 1,000% correct. And we're going to talk about that. And that's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? Gregory Scotland, that's I appreciate it. Right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? Man, I appreciate it. We're going to get these two guys on tonight. Can you hear me, Ingram?
I can hear you perfectly. I'm just trying to get it where they can hear me on my channel.
All right. And I also shout out to my man Top Gun for the 10. Top Gun says Steve Harvey is submitting to the wife of a kingpin who chose him after he went into the feds. he needs to take his advice and think like a man. And that's a good point, because Marjorie definitely does not deserve a man of quality based on her past and based on the type of woman that she is. Mm-hmm. And it's apparent that Steve Harvey still, in my opinion, must have some self-esteem issues to choose a woman like Marjorie Harvey. What's your take on that?
Well, it's obviously he has low self-esteem, because the way how he promotes her, like he has, think about the level of achievement of the man that Steve Harvey has had to achieve to become him. But he still thinks in his mind that she is a prize. And that's just really the sign of what guys have become victims of the social programming, where they, especially growing up in the matriarchal culture in the Black community, where they're raised obviously to be subservient or submissive to women, and to put women up on a pedestal way above men, even when these men are extremely successful in life.
Right. Yeah, it's crazy, man, because you would think that Steve Harvey, in my opinion, Ingram would have got a better quality woman. And you just traveled abroad recently. You just traveled coming back from Thailand, and we're going to talk about that a little bit. But Top Gun is right. Steve Harvey submitting to the wife of a kingpin who chose him after her man went to the feds. He needs to take his own advice. And so he took a subpar woman. The money that Steve Harvey got, Peaceful Life, he could have got a higher quality woman. I'm going to ask you a question from your own personal opinion. Would you consider Marjorie Harvey a high quality woman? If not, tell me why. But don't answer the question yet. I'm thinking Top Gun. That's a deal, right? That's a deal, shout out to my man Will Contra. And he also said,
that's a
I'm so
deal,
glad
right?
I caught
That's a
you guys
deal,
today.
right?
And I appreciate it. So is Marjorie Harvey, in your opinion, a high quality woman? And if she's not, tell me why.
I'll be honest with you, she is not. First of all, she's a single mom, and then she has a history of dating low-quality men, including one that has been incarcerated in jail. I mean, this is not exactly a treasure for most men, especially most productive, successful men. I mean, she came with the baggage. She came with all the. I mean, don't get me wrong, she's a very attractive woman, but at the same time, she came with a bunch of baggage to the table, whereas a man that was a successful, a 1% man, even less than 1% man like Steve Harvey, has so many options, especially globally and in the world. She almost basically, he's really the prize in the situation. There's very few Steve Harveys out here in the world. There's many Marjories. So realistically, he in that situation, we're dealing with a baby mama who's been messing with felons and dealers.
Right. And I think Steve Harvey keeps a lot of women in a state of arrested development, because we forgot to ask men, masculine men, what they want. And Steve Harvey definitely is not the personification of a masculine man, in my opinion, because I would have never married Marjorie Harvey. I would have never married a woman that had, or was more or less associated with felons, because it appears to me, Ingram, that she has a condition called carnal hypergamy. And you and I talked about it earlier today, that hypergamy in itself is not a bad thing, a peaceful life. It's not a bad thing. But hypergamy becomes a problem when it becomes exploitative. And it appears that Marjorie Harvey, and so many in modern times, are using something called carnal hypergamy, because carnal means flesh, carne means flesh, but also carnal means it's exploitative. Women that practice carnal hypergamy versus kosher hypergamy often leads a man in a state of aspiration. And carnal hypergamy looks like this if you're a victim. Have you ever been a victim of carnal hypergamy? And we talk about it. It basically means a woman that's exploitative. She uses her power. She uses her energy to more or less supplant Ingram or manipulate men. I'm sure you've been in experiences where women have tried to use carnal hypergamy on you. And do you feel comfortable talking about it? Give the audience an example of carnal hypergamy from your experience and why it's wrong.
Well, I mean, obviously, we understand carnal hypergamy. I mean, somebody's really trying to extract something from a man without giving fair value. That means women wanting certain provisions and protection. Like, for instance, a woman tries to friend zone you, or a woman tries to get into a relationship with you where the only thing that she's bringing to the table is her box. And many times it's used. It's very much used.
Right.
And demanding certain provisions that I think traditional women should want when they're not traditional.
Right.
Many non-traditional women are asking for 100%, or guys to be making six figures, or guys to be doing all these different things when they're not traditional. They've been out here for years, been ran through many times. Sometimes they're packing another man's kids, multiple kids from different baby daddies. And that, I've been approached by those women, but I just tell them to beat feet. So, but those conditions are always presented to men. Mm-hmm. And men are basically shamed when they do stand up and say no. They're called names, they're called lames, they're called the G word, they're called all kinds of things, or they call whatever. When they refuse or reject women that come to the table with those types of offerings for men as value.
Part and one of the blueprints of a gynocracy is when the women dictate to the men what they should be given to them, instead of the woman coming into a man's life being what she should be for him. Consistent with theology, Ingram, it said that the bride prepared herself for the bridegroom. Women of old, like my grandmother and my mother and women of the past, they came into a relationship asking their man, what could I do to serve you? How can I be all for my man? But see, the modern woman like Marjorie Harvey, she practices carnal hypergamy because she's very exploitative. And Ingram, and I know, if Steve Harvey stopped making the money that he's making now, do you think that Marjorie Harvey would be around? And if so, or if not?
First of all, if he was, let's say for instance, if he was riding on the back of a trash truck, salute to my sanitation brothers. I respect you, Blue Ball brothers. If he was riding on the back of a trash truck, she would not give him the time of the day. First of all, that's not her sexual select preference, and it's basically obvious.
Right.
That woman is not invested in him. So, and to think about when you listen to his story, see, the problem with some of these guys, especially these unconscious simps, many times is that sometimes they believe they've hit the ball out of the park or the home run. And they flex women that women doesn't even see those guys as their sexual select preference. So really, they're using their money and wealth is what the woman's really attracted to the lifestyle. Hey, look, I'm not judging. It is what it is. Women are what they are. You talk about hypergamy, but they flex like it's something more than the money, and that's where the delusion comes in with many of these guys. They flex and believe that it's more than the money when it's all about the money.
It's all about the money, right? It's all about the money. And, because they think it's just about the money and don't understand that it's all about the money, Ingram, they become a sucker for love. Shout out to my man Top Gun again for the 2. He says Steve Harvey is Hollywood's Derek Jackson.
Hello,
and I think he's on to something.
You got the number right. And
I'll also shout out to McDowell Human Resource Department for the 5.
Oh, my
Masculinity chapter 1 verses 1, thou shalt not simp. And when you think about it, Peaceful Life,
right?
Have you ever been an unconscious simp? And you just didn't know you were doing it, but you stopped it. Have you ever been an unconscious simp?
Well, we've all simped.
Right.
We've all simped. From the dating of the single moms to paying for things for women because we were raised to be utopians. We were raised to be utopians, believed in the love. We listened to all the music of the 80s and the 90s, especially all that boomer simp music. And we have absorbed it, man. And you thought that romance and love was the way to, we're programmed. That's why I made that video when we talk about we've been implanted with the simp bug, especially black men growing up in a matriarchal culture.
Right. Yes, sir.
We've been implanted with the simp bug, and we have to have it removed, many of us. unfortunately.
Yeah, we definitely need to have it removed, but you can't remove it until you understand what it is. And you talked about something with Marjorie, man. You know, a woman like Marjorie, she looks like an apex predator. Shout out to my man, Coach Greg Adams, for coming up with that terminology. But she looks like an apex predator. And once again, the word carnal comes from the word carne, which means flesh. When you think about a lion, Peaceful Life, a lion uses the opportunity to pounce on his prey. It uses the opportunity to pounce on his prey because it sees him as a lick. Is Steve Harvey, in your opinion, a lick? And if so, tell the audience why.
Well, I think he's a lick because here's why. Anytime you flex women that don't even really truly care about you or like you, as if you're some type of champion or some type of like you've scored a home run or something like that. When in reality, you know, deep down inside, he knows that without that money, he is done. Right. That's it. So really, what I think and what I observed is this is a guy that probably walks a tightrope, a thin rope, and basically she's running the So basically, she's running the relationship.
Right.
She's completely running the relationship. I mean, he really has no power in that household. And it's really obvious when you see her with him, how he's really worshiping, not that men should not respect and honor their women, but it's almost like he's worship. He's enamored by her.
Right.
Because in his mind, he thinks that she's better than him.
Right.
And therefore he has to do everything in his power to make sure he keeps her happy. You ever see those happy wife, happy life guys?
Right.
And they're basically following behind their women like puppy dogs and stuff like that.
Right.
And the emasculation is real. I mean, this guy is, textbook simp, pretty much.
Mm-hmm. So give the young men some situations of what exploitative or carnal hypergamy look like from what you've seen in the lives of other men. You know, tell them what it looks like based on what you've seen. And then we're going to go down the rabbit hole in a minute.
What it looks like is, let's say for a guy is working hard every day. He's bringing home the bacon. He's taking care of his family. Guys in a sexless marriage. Guys that are not getting the respect and honor from their women. And you can always see how much, I'm curious about this sound thing, man. For some reason on my channel it's not coming through. Let me see.
I can hear you perfectly. Let me make sure it's on. I can hear you on my channel. Hold tight.
Hold on 1 second. I think I got it.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, I'll give you guys an example of a carnal of a man simping. An example would be, you might have to turn it up.
Let me see. Can you?
You might have to turn it up. You're muted. You might have to turn it up.
Let me see. All right, I'm muted.
Turn it up. Turn it up on YouTube.
Oh, okay. 1 second. Yeah, that's weird.
But I can hear you. But anyway, an example would be guys, of a man giving his glory away and giving his power away. What it would look like is, always hoping and anticipating the honor and respect of a woman without making her earn anything in return. I need you guys to understand this. It doesn't make you a simp if you take your woman out to dinner. It doesn't make you a simp if you do a good deed for your woman. But you do become a simp when you devalue yourself, you indignify yourself as a man, you live your life just for the sake of box, and you do anything or do everything outside of character just to get in that woman's pants or to make her happy. And while you should do great things for your woman, if she's a good woman, she gotta earn it. Because see, the problem with modern men and men like Steve Harvey, he didn't make Marjorie earn anything. Marjorie dictated to Steve Harvey the conditions of that relationship. And she told him, you gotta marry me. And that's a problem. That's a problem, gentlemen, because in a relationship, you should be leading and you should lay the foundation and set the principles, and she can either adhere to it or not. But see, when you fall in love, it becomes very dangerous, and it makes you a sucker for love because you're more in love with that woman instead of being in love with your purpose and the things that's necessary for masculinity. Shout out to my man for Salty Balls for the 10. Salty Balls said, thou summons the deacon for the Negro Scrolls, repent from symmetry, or you would be condemned to the empty treasure chest, and the lions would be confined to the deepest hues of blue, evermore, and sevenfold. Shout out to my man Salty Balls.
Right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right?
The no simp scrolls.
Right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? Got 5 on it.
All right, just testing right now.
There's a lot of men that are suckers for love, man. And you know, we grew up in the 90s, Ingram, and it's safe to say, Peaceful Life, that while women of the 90s were a different type of woman, and they had more decorum and coof, we were conditioned by Babyface and Keith Sweat and a lot of different, like Boys to Men. Because what I've learned to understand that men many times, they're the true romantics. You okay, man? You look, you're fading out.
Oh no! I'm checking the stream, making
yeah. And so we're the true romantics many times in relationships. We're the true romantics. But when you give your romanticism away for free, when you give it away without making somebody earn some, guys, they don't respect it. And they never will respect it because you don't set conditions that are consistent. Another fallacy is this. Should a man have money and take care of his woman? Yes. But I don't believe that money alone will keep a woman. So many say that, you got to get your money up. And in theory, that's true. But money alone is not going to keep a woman if she was not naturally attracted to her. And if you're not a masculine man that she liked. So if you think making money and getting your money up can keep a woman in line, that's a myth. You got to have other qualities along with that money to keep that woman in line and to have that woman falling under your umbrella and respecting you as a man. So when I hear people that always tell people to get money up, well, you can get money up all you want to. But if you're a broken man, don't know what your power is, you're going to continue to be in a state of deference instead of being in a state of power. And that's why Steve Harvey, because he haven't learned, would be the typical archetype of not only being a simp, but also Steve Harvey would be the typical archetype to be used and exploited because he don't know where his worth is. And that makes Steve Harvey, once again, a sucker for love. Yes, a lot of sucker for loves. What do you tell your sons, Peaceful Life, about how to deal with the modern woman and not be like Steve Harvey? What do you tell your sons?
Well, the first thing I tell them is to, one, if you're dealing with a woman, you got to make sure that you are her guy. You are her sexual select preference. You're the guy that she would choose if money was not involved and we were all standing on the blocks like a bunch of slaves and she would pick you out of the crew of 10.
Right.
If you're not that guy, then what are you? You know what I mean? And that's the fundamental problem there. And then the next thing we will talk about is make sure respect is your love currency. Make sure a woman respects you. Get out of this romantic love stuff, and respect and performance is what you really should value in women, because respect for women really determines how they treat you. Not love, it's respect. And women will look out for, take care of, and do things for men they respect. I mean, love, that's just, that could be turned on and off at any time, depending on how she feels. But if she respects you, she will treat you better, I think, because there's always some type of consequence that comes from her not really offering you value, like leaving her alone. You know what I mean? So that, I think respect is really what they need to focus on. And we talked about that a lot. about not living in your emotions.
What does it mean to you when you think about it to be the quintessential wife? And before you answer that question, shout out to my man Salted Balls. He said, "Thou summons a deacon from the Negro Scrolls." Oh no, hold tight. He says, "Symmetry 1 and 2, broken men break thy code of the codex. Thou have no backbone, as the she-heathen uses it as a pedestal, and he have been smitten by her purpose, whims, and will."
That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? Got 5 on it.
Hold tight. All right, so when you and your sons be talking, man, what are some of the things that they see in dating, and how do you counter their talking points to make sure they stay on the straight and narrow path, peaceful life?
You know what? I might just go ahead and drop my stream and just focus on yours, because obviously the sound difficulty that I'm having right here. Let me kill this one here, guys. Go ahead and switch over to Coach's channel. We're just going to drop this stream.
Okay. All right.
That's better. So now
Is that better?
Yeah, that's better. We only got one stream to focus on right now. Make life a little simpler. But
okay, all right.
Go ahead, repeat that
brother.
question, my brother. So now,
So, and your camera's a little dark too. It looks dark.
Yeah, well, I got been gone for like 43 days, man.
Right.
Been on the land for 43 days.
That's better. There you go, brother. There you go.
All right.
But I was saying, what are some of the things you teach your sons about not being suckers for love and being slaves to modern day gynocrats? How do you keep your boys grounded so that they don't fall into the trap of being used and manipulated?
Well, the first thing I try to do with them is you got to build masculinity and manhood in young boys. And one of the things you do is, because I have a father and I've been around men, I've been around sports and whatever else. So my thing with them is, we always talk about how so many problems are created by not having men in the home. And one of the things I always talk about is get out of your feelings. That you're not a woman. You deal with logic, and you have to build discipline. With them, you have to learn discipline. That's the most critical thing. And if you can get them out of their feelings by understanding logic, not living in feelings, teaching them female nature, how women are, the difference between men and women, and how to believe what you see. If you see a woman and she's not respecting you, you have to learn to value yourself, love yourself, put yourself first, because everything for you as a man, because the world just has no sympathy for men. It just has zero sympathy for men. So since the world's going to always judge you, and everything that happens in that relationship is always going to be your fault, they're always going to blame you, then it's your job as a man to set the standards, set the conditions that you will take. And you have to understand, you cannot have this scarcity mindset. So we try to get them out of that feelings thing, that whole idea of getting so emotionally involved with a woman and making their purpose what life is all about. Your achievements, your purpose, your goals. You can always get another woman. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. A woman is designed to enhance your life. Right. Women came from our ribs. Stop putting I really kill that simp stuff. I mean, I not even like the possibility of that coming in, because we really have to teach the boys that you're supposed to be a leader. You're the male lion. Right. You're in charge. You cannot just allow, you know what I'm saying? Like, you cannot have this mentality of that's all you can get. And that's what happens many times with these boys, because they're raised in a lot of this romantic love and not really focused on things that we value as men,
Yeah, I totally agree. Having a value and a value system is very important, more so now than ever. But why this appears peaceful life, there's so many men appear oblivious to it. And before we get into that, we're going to bring up the foolishness that got Steve Harvey in trouble. And we're going to break this thing down, man. We're going to break this thing down. Because
kill me. That's what's wrong with this generation.
Because carnal hypergamy is real. So Steve got in trouble, and he said, this is what's wrong with this generation. They asking women what they bring to the table.
These young boys today, what do she bring to the table? The hell you mean, man? What do your ass bring to the table? You got a woman that can come to the table that can make another you.
Piece of life, that's simping, man.
That's straight up simping. That's nonsense.
That's simping, man. That is simping. Let me ask you a question. Do you think that Steve Harvey, because he's closer to a boomer, is a victim of a conditioned peaceful life? And we talked about it in the past. But I think Steve Harvey, peaceful life, he's a gravy train simp. And he's a gravy train simp, peaceful life, because of this. A gravy train simp thinks that he's going to have an easy time with a modern woman. And what happens, he ends up stressing himself out to the point that he looks like an old hound dog because of stress. Right. And he ages fast. Gravy train simps age fast because they think that the modern woman is going to be like their mothers and their grandmothers. And it doesn't work that way. These women have been conditioned to serve themselves. We believe, peaceful life, that men should take care of a good woman. But the current women that we see now, they're not causing or giving mental wellness to a man. They're giving mental distress. How have boomer men, in your opinion, been compromised because they are gravy train simps, in your opinion?
Well, this particular gentleman in particular, obviously, what he basically just did. I mean, we can go back and we talk about, go back to the 60s, the 70s, and talk about many of the different things that, obviously a lot of stuff too, you got to understand, started long time throughout our history, and sometimes, many times, it's like that horse breaking thing that they used to do with the horses. When you break a stallion, what you do is you keep it with the mother. You raise that stallion with the mother, and you take it away. You keep it. On the plantations, they'll keep that slave, that male, away from the father and keep him with the mother. So you really developed a lot of these inferiority. This guy's developed a lot of these inferiority complexes from being in that matriarchal culture that we have in the community. And what we see with Steve right here is what he's basically said is that that men should have no expectations of women who wants to come into a relationship with a man. And then he defines it as, like, he tries to shame men because he has low self-esteem. And he sees that his wealth and his ability to take care of women as him making himself valuable, like most things do. And he basically said, all she has to do is she can have children for you, which is basically saying that a man, the only value, like imagine if you saying a man is valuable because he can ejaculate.
Right.
Is what he's basically saying. So that just tells you how little he thinks of himself and what he thinks he deserves. That means it tells me that really he's defining his relationship, which is he has to do absolutely everything, and his reward is some used for JJ.
Right. So let's stop. This
like he's nuts.
And see, that's why men would start raising the bar and raising their standards, because see, back in the past, a woman had to have low bodies or a virgin and no kids.
Right.
And she had to be wife ready and wife trained. So if a woman got low bodies, no kids, wife ready, then a woman can ask for something greater. But Steve Harvey, you sound like a damn fool if you think a woman shouldn't bring anything because she can replicate you. Right. She can't replicate you unless you have the sperm to help her replicate it. If she was made for you, then she was made to assist you in your mission on this earth. But so many men like power, once again, because they were raised to think like their mothers instead of raised to think like men. Shout out to my man Greg with Scotland for the 5. He said, Kosher, when I entered the space in 2021, I heard a number of male content creators constantly talking about getting your money up as a solution to women. And you're dynamite. We're going to talk about that, Ingram. Hold tight.
You got the number right, because you are talking to kid.
And then shout out to Michael B. Top Gun for the 5. He said his daughter had Michael B. Jordan at the table and still, hold tight. His daughter had Michael B. Jordan at the table and still ran to the streets like Lady and the Tramp. And so that's why I said, man, that money alone, should a man be on his purpose and be making money? Yes, but a man should be making money solely for a woman. I don't believe a man should be making money solely for a woman. A man should be making money, number one, for his purpose and also for the mission of building a legacy. But making it solely for a woman makes you a slave to her feelings. And when you're a slave to her feelings, then when she get outside or it's in her feelings, you're constantly using money to band-aid those feelings. What's your take on that?
Well, that's the problem you have right now, because right now, even in the society, that's why you see all these women. Well, I wouldn't even call them women. I call many of them, see, we have a couple issues going on. The first problem that we have is that we've removed the standard of what was considered a quality woman. You go back to the 80s and the 90s, there was separation. There was quality women, and women held that together, okay? There was women that were quality, and then there were chicken heads. A bird wouldn't dare come out. First of all, you wouldn't be seen in the daylight with a bird. Everybody knows that's a chicken head, or that's a 304. You wouldn't be seeing the daylight with her. But nowadays, because of social media, and we've eliminated shame, and women have gotten rid of all this accountability, and they've tried to make everything merge together with social media, there's no separation between a good woman and you have chicken. Like watch Fresh and Fit podcast. They out there yelling virtues at chicken heads all day long, which makes absolutely no sense to me. I can see those birds, but going forward, I forgot what we was talking about in terms of that's the first issue that we have, the lack of separation between what is quality and what is trash, and social media has really killed that. Right. And the other problem that we have is the attack of masculinity has been so successful for so many years that we've really emasculated a lot of men. Then you have, obviously with the culture, cancel culture, and getting people fired and terminated, a lot of guys are really silencing down because they were really trying to really attack truth for so many years. And it have really been successful at censorship and really keeping down voices that counter that. There's nobody really calling anybody, an idiot anymore. Like, everybody's just freely thinking, saying, not having any standards or whatever else. So we've created a whole new world, a new world order that exists out here where anything really goes, So.
No, I totally agree. Tim Howard said men have been degraded and dehumanized in society and mainstream by their parents, and I agree with that. Guys, y'all got a comment, send a super chat and we'll read it. Shout out to my man Andrew Baker for the 10. He said, salute, kosher and peaceful life. Steve shows that having money doesn't make him a man. Right. It's sad to see how many of these brothers continue to overvalue women and devalue men. And once again, I need you guys to listen. That's a deal, right? Hold tight. Hold tight.
That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right?
Got 5 on it. That was the other part I was thinking about. The idea of money. Hold tight.
Go ahead.
Well, that's the other problem that we have right there. This idea of money. Remember when Kevin Samuels, we talked about high value men. Okay. And again, all those women heard, because they fundamentally reject everything that he said, was the word high value money. I can get a man at this caliber and I deserve that. That's the only part they hear. Well, that's the standard now. We should all get high value men. Doesn't matter whether they're overweight, whatever. 304, it doesn't matter. All of them have the same mindset and mentality. Whether they have 3 kids or 4 kids by 3 different baby daddies, whether they've been out here ran through for the last 10, 15, 20 years, because of they all have the same mindset and standard in their mind in terms of what they think they deserve from men. And the problem we have now is that if any guy starts thinking or measuring his masculinity purely by money,
right,
that might get you in the door for a woman that's looking for security,
right,
a woman that's looking
right.
for, because women are really much in this lifestyle.
Right.
That will get you a woman. You can buy yourself a woman, because women are, many of these women are very, like you've talked about the carnal hypergamy, where they're looking for a lifestyle.
Right.
They're still attracted to the man that they want, because women have their sexual preference. But they will put that guy to the side, maybe enjoy him on the side, and really use you as a security if you're not her type, like Steve Harvey is being used, like many other men are being used. But these guys are so delusional, they flex women as if women, that they've won a trophy for women that are not even attracted to you. And I talked to you about it earlier. The quickest way to find out whether that guy is an ATM or a wallet with a penis, and that woman has no value to them, and all these guys that flex women are frauds. If you go to these women's social media sites, right? Because they're very narcissistic, many of them.
Yes.
What you'll see them do is taking pictures of food, taking pictures by themselves of vacations, taking pictures by themselves of all the things that man is doing for them. But the one thing is missing from those pictures is that man.
Right.
They never flex him. They never put him up on a high pedestal. Look at the man I got.
Right.
Wow, my man is great.
Right.
So I know right away the guys is lacking. If I was to check and look at his wife's social media page or his girlfriend's social media page, and ain't nothing on that page about him, and he's spending all this money and taking care of her, he's nothing more than a walking ATM or security blanket. And some of these guys are delusional, and that's what helps me a lot with having investigative skills, is because I can pull up and look like, man, you just a chump.
Right.
Use a security blanket. Because at this point in life, what happens with many women on the secondary dating market, they've dated the losers. They've dated the guy that knocked them up and had a baby with them, but they didn't turn out to be nothing because he just sit around, play video games all day and don't do anything. Now they're saying to themselves, girl, they tell their girlfriends, girl, I'm going to get me a real man. I'm going to have money.
Right.
Good lifestyle. We're going to go on vacation. Mm-hmm. So now they don't even care about the man. They're just going for the lifestyle. Mm-hmm. They can always get that dude on the side. Mm-hmm.
No, I totally agree. We're going to get back into it, guys, in a minute. Hold tight. Let's finish looking at this foolishness by Steve Simp Harvey. Hold tight.
What else she need to slide up to the table with? What about your job? What happened to men who were supposed to be responsible? Do you know that it's our job to take care of a woman and some children, to have a...
Yes, Steve Simp Harvey. It is our job to take care of a woman to follow our leadership, a woman that's on our program. Yeah. But it's not our job, Steve Simp Harvey, to just take care of any woman. The problem that I see, Peaceful Life, with modern women is this. Men don't make women earn it anymore.
Right.
Avant made a song back in the past, Ingram. He said, love till it hurts. Women now don't know how to love till it hurts anymore. They don't know how to love till it hurts. And because they don't know how to love till it hurts anymore, there's no cost-benefit analysis.
Right.
Based on what you've seen in relationships and dating, talk about times where you compromise your power because you didn't make the woman in your life or the women in your life earn their way into your life. Talk about it a little bit.
Well, I think what happened is that, especially when I was younger, you always believe that if you do more, like a woman acts up, or see, we're programmed to create peace. We don't want conflict with women. Like, for all you women that are listening, masculine men that are secure, men that have been properly raised, do not like to fight with you. That really cringes at us. We don't fight with you. So what a man would think is that if he's in a household with a woman, and she's not acting right, maybe he needs to do more, as opposed to maybe he's doing too much, and she doesn't really respect and value him. So we're thinking we need to do more, but really we need to do less, and especially give less of our time and make them. And we didn't make them earn all of the blessings and the things that we give them. We gave because that's who we are as men. But what we need to learn to do now as men is you earn, you get.
Right.
And that's why I messed up many times in life with that, is giving the unearned, and that creates monsters. That really does.
Right. And I'm gonna challenge that talking point, Ingram. You're correct. Up to 33% of men are virgins. So tell me why in the hell is a man taking care of the typical modern woman that's had a lot of bodies? He's a virgin. She got bodies. She got experience. She got kids. She hasn't been trained to be a wife. But Steve Harvey says that a man's supposed to take care of a woman. He didn't add context to it. Right. Should he take care of his woman? Yes. But he should take care of a woman that's a woman of quality and a woman that has standards and a woman similar to our mothers and our grandmothers. But women in modern times are not like that. Right. And it's obvious that Steve Harvey can't damn tell anybody anything because he's been married 3 times. And I promise you, Marjorie probably got his bank account and knows how much he makes. I'm not mesmerized by Marjorie Harvey. I'm not mesmerized by her. Because when you travel, and we're going to talk about that, when you was in Thailand, you saw women that saw young women in person that made Marjorie Harvey look like a 3 or 4. What's your take on that?
Well, again, it's the culture here where we've emasculated men and we've raised women up. We live in a gynocracy. And even a 304 nowadays, because of what has happened with men. I mean, they've been attacking manhood for so long until at the point where we even argue and debate nowadays what a man is, period. So we've gotten to that low. But when you travel overseas, and grab me, nothing is perfect. There's no utopia anywhere.
Right, it's no utopia, right.
Especially in Thailand. There's a lot of transactions going on in Thailand. Transactional environment in many instances. Right. I will say that. But let's be honest. When you're in an environment, you see 20-1 and women that are fit and whatever, because they're not government empowered. Granted, there's some negatives, but when women in other countries, first of all, they're not government empowered. They're not being backed up, promoted by a government, and they're not living in a gynocracy. They have to value men. And the fundamental problem here is that because certain women, they get the support of the government and they're propped up quite a bit, they can act and behave certain ways that they can't behave over there.
Right.
So you're going to get a whole lot of more beautiful women and whatever else. And the other problem is that we've got too many men that are simps. Because really the problem is not really the women. The problem is that they're reinforced by a whole bunch of, I don't want to use the word beta male simp manginas or whatever. Who came up with that term? I think I heard it somewhere. Maybe it was the guy, Book of Alpha Me, whatever that guy's name.
Yeah. Book of Alpha around me.
Yeah, but you have so many. This is the ones who really be coming for men, is those simps, especially that on my mama guys, the one on my mama simps. They're the worst.
Oh, they're the worst, right?
Because you're talking about taking masculinity and testosterone and having undisciplined feminine energy in a young man. They'll take you out.
They'll take you out.
Those guys are dangerous. So you have those guys themselves not even holding women accountable, whatever. And you have those guys that are panderers, the pander bear. All these types of so really the problem here is the men, because men are the only ones that we can control and deal with, because women they're not going to change unless there's some kind of apocalypse or something.
Right.
It's really the biggest problem that we have right now in America is the unconscious simps like Steve and Shannon gets into it, and all these other guys that are out here pandering to women, uplifting chicken heads, the guys in the DMs, the guys on bigging up women that are, ran through high body count.
Wait, hold up, man. Shout Shout out to my man Tim Howard. Only hope for brothers is to travel. There's too much money to be made off attacking black men in general, but they expect from men. He said, Tim Howard say your pass, but hold on, Ingram, because men have been ran through, man, and but damn, I'm gonna give a woman my best that they've been ran through. If you ain't a virgin, got low bodies, your ass might be glad. You should be grateful if you get 50% of your bills paid for. Hold tight. Ran through, man.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, like I've never seen. I'm like, you understand? We come like the 70s, 80s, 90s. We came up when there was still rules and there was still code. Nowadays, man, there's no rules. I'm seeing
no rules, man. No shame either.
Chicken heads running their mouth. I seen chicken heads talking about, I want a 6-figure man. Man, you be lucky to.
Sorry, go ahead.
You'd be lucky to get a homeless man.
Right.
I wish people had like odometers on them where you can lift up the flap and look at their odometers and see the body counts. Like if human beings had odometers, we'd be like so embarrassed, man. Like, yo, how you mean you want a traditional man? Provisions, protection. I want a man making 6 figures and I don't want to pay no bills. Man should be
right.
If you lift up her odometer, the flap on her ass and look like, hell no, I ain't paying for this. I'm not paying. If we really can lift up the odometer, no, baby. No, baby. I'm coming in. A late Friday night, I'm in at 10%. 10%, baby. 10%. That's right. That's messed up, right? No, I'm saying, like, if you can lift up the odometer on, like we had our odometers on our asses. Most people, like, what if women wore their odometers on their chest, right? Their body count on their chest, right? Would dudes be as like, like you walk into a chick, she's talking, I don't want no man, and you see the number 100 flash across the check on the odometer, you'd be like, yo, man, get out of here.
And see. We want to be clear, Ingram. We don't mind paying money for women that are quality, they're cooperative, they're feminine, they know how to support, and they know their place, and they understand that the marriage is not about them, it's about us. I don't care about that. But I see so many times, Ingram, from men in relationships, they're in sexist marriages, they still paying all the bills, and they don't get no respect or cooperation. They're doing their traditional role, but she picks and chooses when she want to do her job as a woman. And I got a problem with that because it should never look like that or be like that. But let's finish listening to Steve Simp Harvey. And
and he's pathetic. I mean, he's pathetic. He's
very pathetic. Hold tight.
Family, that's our damn job.
You know what to do. Hit the subscribe button and become an official member of Club Shay Shay, where we do something for two something.
Thank you, Steve Harvey. Not really.
Now,
Steve Harvey.
Corey Holcomb cooks him, man. Corey Holcomb about to cook him.
I love Corey, man.
Corey Holcomb is about to cook him because Steve Harvey is the quintessential example of a beta male simp. That woman doesn't love him.
Hell no.
She doesn't love him. Let Steve Harvey lose all his money. Let Steve Harvey become broke. And watch and see if Marjorie be around him. It's not your job to take care of any woman unless she earned it and you set the value for that relationship. So many men, Ingram, I see peaceful life suffering in silence. They suffer because they don't have any values. And I try to teach men in practice, you have to have values. But watch Corey Holcomb cook Steve Harvey. Hold tight before we do it. Hold tight. Hold tight.
Harvey was on that interview, dog, and they've been showing it a little bit.
I told you it was good. I liked it.
That was weak as a mother.
I like that interview.
How is this motherfucker allowed to give advice? Man. This is a goofy. He married that hustle money. Everybody know it. First of all, you've been married how many times? Three times.
How can Steve Harvey tell anything or any man about money or relationships, but he can't even keep a woman. You left your first two wives, and you got a woman or a wife that was a recipient of drug dealers. And potentially, we know she probably had a lot of fun and been ran through. But we let women like Marjorie Harvey guys, or some of you guys let women like her dictate to you what your worth is. You let the Ebony Browns of the world dictate to you what your worth is. They can tell you what their standards are, but you can't tell a woman what your standards are. I don't have a problem with a woman coming to a relationship saying what she wants if she brings some of substance. But for Steve Harvey to be so ignorant and say that modern men are doing X, Y, Z, Steve Harvey's out of touch with reality. And he's out of touch with what men are dealing with. A man got a right to tell a woman to bring something to the table because her mission is to serve him. It's not his mission to serve her. The woman was designed to serve her man. And if that woman served her man, then that man on the flip end would take care of his woman. We take care of one another in the relationship. But she don't get to dictate to you what the rules of that relationship is. She can either be part of your life or she can say, well, my values or what I want, you don't match, and that's fine. And y'all can go y'all separate ways. But men, don't be a fool letting modern women tell you what you need to be or what you want, because she don't dictate, you should dictate.
He cheated on his wife with his side each time. Everybody married a bitch that they was fucking around on the other. I said that before. Yeah. That's what people do. We don't know how to pick no woman. But Steve Harvey comes like he got the answers to
exactly.
Homie, you even admitted you was mad at Bernie them because they was funnier than you. Like if I was on there and I had been married 3 times, the whole world would love to be like, "Motherfucker, you been married 3 times. I don't never hear nobody say this about this man because they be caking for him." I'm saying like Steve perpetrates a real nigga. Right. But Steve, you're not a real nigga.
See?
If you are around an alpha, you're going to start some. I'm talking about Steve Harvey.
Right. Steve is like
he can only be in the room with betas. If you're around alphas, you're going to have a problem. I know that about Steve Harvey. You can.
What's your take on that about what Corey said, Peaceful Life?
Corey is the man, and he's absolutely correct. He can't pull that goofy stuff off around no real men. Men will call him like, yo, get out of here with that nonsense, man. This is the thing about it, man. This is where we come to society now, where as long as you tell people what they want to hear, which in case of Steve was women, they will excuse your past conduct and behavior. And we say a lot of time with the rappers now. As long as you ain't holding women accountable or anything, which is the critical thing is, if you even say something that holds a standard to women, you're automatically going to be labeled something negative. So you can have all kinds of, like a guy like Derek Jackson who's cheated on his wife and whatever else. I bet you when he does his seminars, it's still packed with women because he tells them what they want to hear. And Steve is just happening to what he wanted. But if he's talking to a dude, a real dude, a dude's gonna be like, yo, your woman don't even like you, dude. You just out here simping.
Right.
We know you bought the woman. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, like if you bought the woman, just say you bought the woman. But don't become pretending like you some type of stud out here, dude. That's how we talk to dudes. Because even from sports, like, yo, you ain't no stud. Get out here, man. You purchased the woman. It's just the way it is. If you weren't rich, nobody messing with you.
And you're the adult that Steve Harvey would have learned. He entrusted his money to people. He thought he was paying taxes. And then he found out that he still had to go back and pay millions of dollars in taxes. And it's appalling because you would think Steve Harvey being for Cleveland understand how women operate. And it's obvious he don't. And sometimes that's what happens in your formative years of a peaceful life. Men get imprinted by women mentally.
Right.
And they try to live up to the expectation of that woman instead of establishing a boundary and a value system that's consistent with making him feel better.
Right.
When we were Gen Xers back in the past, once again, we didn't deal with chicken heads. We didn't look at women that had kids. we didn't deal with women that were very big.
Right.
Am I right or wrong?
Well, in the daylight.
Right.
What happens at 1 a.m. in the morning? Right. Hey, look. The daylight is one thing. 1 a.m. in the morning, I'll be honest. You have some dudes walking them trench coats in them alleyways. You don't know where they're going. Anyhow, especially in the wintertime. But in the daylight, you weren't seeing with chicken heads. In fact, dudes be turning their head like, yo, what are you talking about? Why are you approaching me like that? You know, they don't want to be seen. They don't want they don't want nobody to find out that they pounded her the night before. And that was just the way it was. Chicken heads like understood what happened at 1 a.m., stayed at 1 a.m. But these dudes nowadays, they're flexing these women like they've won a trophy. Don't get me wrong. Margie is biologically blessed. But at the same time, you know, at the end of the day, she's been for the streets. Let's cut the nonsense. You know.
Yes, sir. Definitely been for the streets, right? Yeah. And you're not getting nothing special. I think Marjorie had 2 kids before she married Steve. So you was in another country. The money that Steve Harvey got, he could have got a superior woman. But men don't know what their power is because they think that they're an illusion of having power and they don't have any power at all. Hold tight.
Right. Ain't stand in no room with no motherfucking nigga that, I ain't saying a nigga that starts shit, but a nigga who will stand on his and you can't really boss around and all that shit. In fact, it's a lot of niggas like that who cannot be around alphas because they can't take the fact that they can't run it with this nigga. I'm saying the entertainer and motherfucking Bernie Mac was funny. And then you had to go up after them and you couldn't manipulate it like you wanted to. So you became the host of the Kings of Comedy, because like I said, the host is the famous person most of the time. They rarely let the host. Last time I hosted a show, Earthquake told the promoter, let the other nigga bring me up because I know why. Nigga, I'm rocking this motherfucker, nigga. And then you got to go up after that? Nigga, stop. Steve a hater, dog. He is not finna let you shine, dog.
Do you think that Steve Harvey has an inferiority complex? Do you think he's still got a low self-esteem, Ingram, for when the women were calling him big lips? And shout out to my man, Kevin White for the 5.
Hello,
thank you, Kevin White. You're a dynamite. Appreciate it, brother.
You got the number right, because you are talking to kid a dynamite. Pure dynamite.
Oh yeah, Steve Harvey definitely has an inferiority complex. He definitely has low self-esteem. Now, I'm talking in terms of when it comes to women. I mean, obviously, he's a successful man. He's worked hard in terms of to get where he needs to be in life as a comedian. But again, we talked about, like you said about unconscious simps. Sometimes in the world of men, the guy might be a beast in terms of his achievements and his performance. But when it comes to women, he's a complete, B. But again, remember, you grew up playing sports, and I grew up in the gym. Right. We grew up where like we get called out. Like literally dudes would just square off with each other. Like if a dude has a chicken head with him back in the day, and let's say you on the same team, and other dudes on the team have smashed, you're gonna be seen as a joke. But nowadays, because we have, the S shaming has been gone, the S shaming. Now, in sexual liberation, now no S shaming is going on anymore. Or maybe there is a little bit. Like literally used to be clowned back in the day for walking around with 304s in the daylight. So now we have daylight 304 walkers. We have eliminated all standards. And like you don't have to even worry about walking around with 2 o'clock in the morning with 304s anymore. You could be walking around with baby mamas, 304s, anything nowadays. Everything goes now. And
everything goes. And no shame.
No shame. And
no shame.
And dudes celebrating. Like, you'll see dudes back, well, we get women. You guys are a bunch of incels. You don't get no women. That's why y'all on the internet talking about women all day long. And then you look at his chick. His chick is horrible. 304, retired, many of them overweight, these bust downs. And they have a nerve to be talking about guys not getting any women. Shoot, you better off being an incel if you're going to deal with those women those guys got. Them things are hard on the eyes, first of all. The mileage is high, they're hard on the eyes. You're better off as an incel. I mean, you think about if a woman has 100 bodies, shoot, do you really want to shame men to sleep with a woman that has 100 bodies on her? Like, that dude's better off is not getting none. Because what are you going to get?
Right. And the crazy thing about it, man, many times after these men get married, women that gave their box away for free to other men, I talk to men all the time in therapy. They get no loving. They get no loving, man, and it's appalling, man. It's appalling to say the least. Hold tight.
Yeah, I just don't see the victory for some of these dudes.
I totally agree.
When I was a young comic, that nigga cutting my time down to 5 minutes because I was too funny.
Wow.
Believe me. I ain't never heard nothing good about no mother Steve Harvey. So I'm saying like, I ain't trying to shit on him. I'm just telling you, you got shit on your name, nigga. And I've had experiences with you, and I already know. Nigga, if you was around me, you would be uncomfortable because I'm not going to fold in front of you. And if I go on stage, it's going to be hard for you to follow with that motherfucking shit you do. So you got to keep hosting and getting these shows, like whatever you do, because he does the type of where he's being sarcastic about something. That's what works for him. Yeah. Like if he be like, oh, that dude over there, he can do that. You get what I'm saying? But it don't match up with headliners who got power. Or like saying in life.
Leighton White, he did?
Huh? What'd he say?
Leighton White said that that Steve hated on 85 South guys.
Oh, did he? Can you imagine Steve Harvey? He's supposed to be this legendary comedian, and he got to go on stage after Lil Bro them. Steve is not going to be funny when he go up after people. He has to host shows.
He don't even do. The Steve Harvey, in your opinion, seeing the type Peaceful Life that'll throw shade to make women pander to him. What do you get from your energy about Steve Harvey, man?
I mean, he got that weasel energy. I mean, just from the conversation himself, because he obviously doesn't care nothing about women. Because if he cared about women, he wouldn't lie to them. And that's what the women got to realize. The guys that are pandering to you could care less about you. They look at masculine men or guys that are in the red pill space or that like the CGA or me or you, or we're not really a red pill, but we just independent men, content creators, or whatever, But they look at us as the problem. But really the problem is the dude that's lying to you, telling you you're beautiful when you're not, telling you the greatest thing in the world when you need to lose about 100 pounds, telling you that, body count shouldn't matter and you shouldn't bring nothing to the table. Because the outcome has shown that your ass is single. Nobody's messing with you. Valentine's Day is coming and you having Galentine's Day and a bunch of lonely women miserable all over the place. Marriage rates are down to 25%. David Bridle is going bankrupt.
Right.
No rings are being sold.
Right.
Jewelry is being kept in storage to keep the prices up.
Right.
And what is that telling you? That's telling you that these dudes are lying to you because the men themselves are not buying into it. They're checking out. They're checking. Even the simps are not getting married at a high rate. So they'll pander too. They'll just get laid and they'll just get dusted off. But at this point in time, the outcomes are horrible for women. You got more women alone, and especially now with this Section 8 thing and these issues with people getting evicted. The rents are high. Inflation is here. The financial pinch is here for women that have rejected being in relationships with good quality men, and they thought they were strong and independent and all that stuff. So we're getting the crunch now. Outcome is awful. So, but the problem is that, again, it's not bad enough. It's not apocalyptic, and they're still slaves to their feelings. Right. And like I say, and that's just the way it is. So Steve Harvey and those guys are just ruining lives out here.
Yeah. They not only are they ruining their lives, man, but they're giving women a false sense of hope. And we live in a world now where the truth is hate and the hate is truth. And it's a problem, man, because I think you and I, when we have these conversations, I think we say over and over again, we don't have any issues with good women, but we're talking about the typical modern woman that more or less comes in very haughty and demanding stuff, but she offers nothing in return. And that makes a man an unconscious simp. Right. He supplements irrational male patterns of behaviors. And that's what happened. Some of you men that are listening right now, you continue to supplement irrational male behavior. If a woman tell you got to pay $200 for her to have a dinner with you, you're an unconscious simp. if a woman, or you live your life to more or less please a woman without making her demand anything in return, you are an unconscious simp. So Steve Harvey didn't add context when he said a man should take care of a woman. He shouldn't take care of any type of woman, but he should take care of a good woman that's worthy and more or less a woman that meets that man's value system. When you think about value clarification, Peaceful Life, let's go in time. You created a concept in the past called relationship capitalism.
Right.
And relationship capitalism is a thought stopping technique that reduces the things that we're dealing with now. So relationship capitalism has led to, the lack of relationship capitalism has led to hoflation.
Massive hoflation.
Massive hoflation. So tell the audience what relationship capitalism means, and I came up with the word hoflation. And so so tell them what relationship capitalism means, man, and why hoflation has caused a lot of men to give their power away.
Well, relationship capitalism really has to do with competition, because the problem that we have here in the West is that the average good, honorable man doesn't really know his value, especially on the global scale. Right. And obviously that is a construct that has been created by, the attack on masculinity and the feminizing of men for the last 50 years or so. But one of the things about travel, don't get me wrong, there's no utopia out here, no utopia anywhere in the globe. And we talk about it all the time. If you're a simp in America, you're going to be a global simp.
You're going to be a global simp,
You're going to be exploited globally, okay? But when men travel and go places and understand, not travel for no women, not travel for anything else, but just to see and study how other people live, especially in patriarchal culture, especially in the Muslim world, but maybe in Africa, maybe in Asia, just to study and look. And you really understand what the value of the box is. When you eliminate this government empowerment, when you eliminate this oppressive matriarchy, and you say to yourself, wow, it's like 20-1 to me. What the hell was I sweating over Keisha for? Are you kidding me? And then you start saying to yourself, you start having this like epiphany, and your mind starts opening up, and you start seeing the world different. And even when I come here, I just came back from Asia. Like, it looks strange in a way. Your mind becomes very, very, very different in terms of how you view and value, especially women and things around you. And not only that, you have a deeper appreciation for life and all the blessings that you have, especially from the economics that we have and how far our dollar goes on a global scale. But you start saying to yourself, if the average guy would just travel maybe to Africa, Asia, just look around.
Right.
You would never take any of these American women 304, not all of them. There's good sisters out here.
Right.
You wouldn't even take these 304 serious.
Right.
You'd actually laugh in their face. Even these guys they call incels or whatever they call them would laugh in the face of a 304 if he actually would get a travel around the world just to see the rest of the world, go to these countries, third world countries. Not about women. Just go and see. Your whole mindset will change,
right? And
you won't even take part in the goofiness that you see going on.
Right. Talk about where do you think Marjorie Harvey would have ranked in Thailand when it come down to beauty with the women over there? Where would she have ranked in your opinion? And what could Steve Harvey have gotten with the money he got if he wanted to find a traditional wife, maybe in Chiang Rai or in an area where you can find more traditional women? What could he have gotten in your opinion?
Well, Marjorie Harvey in that area is probably about her age, maybe 2,000 baht and a room upstairs. 2,000 baht in a room upstairs is what Marjorie Harvey is worth in Thai, especially in the Pattaya area. Marjorie is about 2,000 baht. 2,000 baht. 2,000 baht. And she doesn't even get taken back to the hotel. 2,000 baht and smashed on site. Scratch that from the record. Scratch that from the record, guys. Scratch that from the record. Let's move on. I'm scratching from the record.
and that's why I said world travel is one of the 7 steps that a man got to go through.
I take it back. I'm sorry, that's a 2,000 baht check.
That's 2,000 baht.
Nobody taking no Marjorie Harvey serious outside of America. Right. Yeah. And we don't even want to talk about Africa. We talk about just Asia. That's about, like, I don't know how you put that in yen. I don't know how you put that in, African. What's the African money now? What do they have?
Imagine, shilling peso.
Like, right. How many shillings? Like, that's like them dudes overseas is straight gangster, man. In terms of, you look at the local men, not the guys that go overseas and simp. The local men are really the gangsters in these countries. That's what I did even when I studied the local dudes and watch how they move. Man, these local dudes are straight up. You see them dudes walking around like in all these other countries. I'm sure you see them overseas in all these countries, Brazil, Colombia, Thailand, and even Africa. They don't put up with this nonsense that men in the United States put up with. So you got to study the local men when you go overseas. Not like, just don't even worry about the 304s and the women. Just study the local dudes and see how they move with the women. And them dudes, these gangsters. It's fascinating, but Marjorie Harvey over there is probably 2,000 baht. And like I said, anyhow, strike that from the record. I didn't say that. I take that back.
and that's why men need to travel, man. Traveling abroad will help them change their trajectory of dealing with modern women. But hold tight, this friend's listening to it, and because Steve Harvey said that Marjorie was his woman, and what Steve don't understand, he'll see if Marjorie his woman if he start making that money. Because I'm not gonna live my life just to make no money, to make no woman happy, man. She gonna add some value to my life. But hold tight.
Experiences with you, and I already know, nigga, if you was around me, you would be uncomfortable because I'm not gonna fold in front of you. And if I go on stage, it's gonna be hard for you to follow with that motherfucking shit you do. So you gotta keep hosting and getting these shows, like whatever you do, because he does the type of where he's being sarcastic about something. That's what works for him. Yeah. Like if he be like, oh, that dude over there, he can do that. You get what I'm saying? But it don't match up with headliners who got power. Or like saying in life.
Leighton White, he did?
Huh? What'd he say?
Leighton White said that that Steve hated on 85 South guys.
Oh, did he? Really? Can you imagine Steve Harvey? He's supposed to be this legendary comedian, and he got to go on stage after Lil Bro them. Steve is not going to be funny when he go up after people. He has to host shows.
He don't even do stand-up no more, do he?
No, he said in that interview that he didn't want.
He said it's because of the cancel culture. But look, if he was talented, I've said this before, and it showed to be true. When you really talented, you can't wait to show people how good you are on stage. And that ain't no diss to nobody. That's what I'm saying. When you done came up with 45 to an hour worth of material, you can't wait to show it off. So when somebody say why they don't do comedy or why they didn't do comedy, it's because they used to getting in front of the crowd, bullshitting for 45 minutes to an hour, and then get off, and before you know it, they done got their check. Yeah. I done seen it happen with most comedians. There's not a lot of headliners in this nation.
What y'all think about what Corey had to say about Steve? Let me know in the comment section below. Leave a like and subscribe.
All right, so what did you think about what Corey Holcomb said? And does that add context to Steve Harvey being a simp, in your opinion, Peaceful Life?
Not only is simple, he seemed like he's a weasel too. That's even just as bad. But many simps are weasels. You know what I mean? Not all of them. There's a few of them. I mean, I'm talking about the real bad ones are weasels. Some of those guys, man. Because here's the thing about them. A lot of those guys, they pander to women so much and they virtue signal so much. Right. You got to watch them too. That's why you got to really, really study dudes when they're around women, especially beautiful women. Like if you have a friend or associate and you guys are in a room full of women or in a country around women, you travel with them or whatever, watch those dudes very carefully how they behave around women. That will tell you everything you need to know about those guys. And Steve seems to be one of those type of guys. You know, I mean, he will do anything and everything to appease to women, to pander, and to make himself seem like he's winning. I mean, I don't see the victory, but this is America, and that's how men have been socialized to glorify and celebrate 304s, to walk around with them like their arm candy and stuff. Like, man, if they only knew how men behave overseas, the native men, it's crazy.
Mm-hmm. No, it is crazy, man, and it's unfortunate, man, because I see so many guys in Hollywood, man, messing with the same women. Many men need to take the page that Ludacris took and get his wife from abroad in Africa. Ludacris got his wife from Africa, and she's a beautiful woman. And so I don't understand why men settle for the mediocrity here when they can go to the motherland and get a beautiful woman, and get a woman that has values that's more consistent with his. Let's look at what Steve Harvey said on Club Shay Shay real quick.
Oh, yeah.
And
well, dudes been beaten down really bad, man. Dudes get beaten down really bad. If it ain't from that matriarchal big mama and them and the women in the community, they get beaten down bad.
Yeah, they do, man. This is fair use. We're gonna look at some of the things that Steve Harvey was talking about on Club Shay Shay with Shannon Sharpe. What's your take on Shannon Sharpe? You think Shannon Sharpe got some simp in him, even though he's a masculine dude?
I think Shannon Sharpe is a great actor because he plays the role because he understands in broadcasting he has to appeal to the masses. But when I examine his actions, I mean, he's had some relationships or whatever. But Shannon Sharpe is, at his age, he's still an unmarried guy. He's not putting his money up on the line. So he's protecting his assets. It's like, I look at him more like a Derek Jackson character. What he says versus what he does. Mm-hmm. So he may say some pandering stuff, but behind the scenes, he be doing some straight alpha stuff. So
I can see. Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that. Yeah, I agree with that. I think he. But do you think because I'm growing up in Georgia that he might be an unconscious simp to some degree? Because men from the South sometimes tend to give and place a woman's value over theirs. Do you think he might be an unconscious simp to some degree?
I think so a little bit, but the thing about it, I can't how you do an investigation. You may have the belief system, but without the evidence, you can't confirm it. So Steve has a track record of simping, including this last marriage. Shannon, I think he had one bad situation, but he never really signed off over all his resources and money to no women. So as much as he says certain things that are like, yo, man, I just can't put it to facts and evidence to his behavior. That's why I can't nail the behavior. Like Derek Jackson, he says a lot of things that we would characterize as simping, but he's a beast. He's pounding these women out like crazy. He's a monster. But you know what I'm saying? So he says some things, but he's a alpha monster, pounding monster. He's turned them out like crazy, man. That is a beast. That is not no simp. That is a manipulator, but that is a good salesman, but simp, no.
Okay, all right. Let's look into it, and now we're gonna break down some of these thinking narratives with Steve Harvey. He said Steve Harvey defends his stance on claiming his wife belongs to him. Do you think that Marjorie Harvey belonged to Steve Harvey, especially if he lost his money?
Shoot, Marjorie Harvey don't belong to him. Are you kidding me? He belongs to her.
Right.
You know what I mean? She don't belong to. Man, look, he's probably one of them dudes at home. Look at him. He's always sick. And the reason why he's always sick because it's a full-time job to try and keep that woman.
Right. That's a good point.
That's a good point. He's stressing his ass off.
That's a good point. And then at the end of the day, when he's dead and gone, she's going to have the bag and she's going to be with another woman. That's why I keep telling men, women by nature are solipsistic. One practices kosher hypergamy, which is fit, fair, and proper. A woman that practices kosher hypergamy expects a man to take care of her, but she's not going to exploit that man for her own selfish needs. Right. Carnal hypergamy seeks to destroy a man, and it doesn't have any feelings. And I would say more modern women practice kosher hypergamy, which is antithetical and destructive to a man's psyche. Hold tight.
Right. Nuri Muhammad. I wish I had my phone, man. You could hear what this dude said about relationships. It's the coldest thing. He said, other than your relationship with God, who you choose to spend the rest of your life with is the single most important decision you will ever make. Because your other half will either your other half will be your better half or make you half of what you could be. Wow. She will either inspire you to greatness or reduce you to mediocrity.
Yeah, that part is true, Peaceful Life. That part is true. Getting the right woman and making sure that woman is right is the most important day of your life. What's your take on that?
I think he's absolutely right with that. I mean, the reality is that makes a lot of sense. But the question becomes, in this situation, I mean, especially here in America and in the West, that's especially important because we don't have the societal controls from the family to religious institutions to shame to accountability. So we don't have any of these controls. So that's especially important here in the West, especially. The problem that I'm having is that's not what he did. he picked a retired 304. You know what I mean? So what he's doing really is compensating in that relationship. And like I said, he's walking a rope by the thickness of a piece of thread that you sew your clothes with in terms of with her. That's why he's always sick. That's why he's always complaining about medical problems.
Right.
Manage her so much that is stressing him out. And you can see it in his body language and his behavior because he knows if he makes one minute mistake without kissing her butt for a day or two, she's gone. So he's full-time in butt kiss mode. And that's a full-time job for him. That's why he's always looks like he's sick and about to pass out. And it's just too much stress.
Right. Yeah, he said something about his diet. I don't know how true that is. He was saying something about his diet. He said his diet played a role, but he said he got better with it. But keep listening.
And then at the end of it, he said, "So choose wisely." And that was the first time, man, that I'd ever chose wisely. And it was the best thing because a woman like an elevator button, man, it can take you up or down. If you get the right one, you got something. You get the wrong one, but it's like a man to a woman. If you get the right man, you can go somewhere. You get the wrong man, you off. Like I heard you say one time, well, I was laughing so hard. You said you paid for a divorce.
Yeah.
I said, this dude right here was committed.
But see, I don't want people to think she was getting a divorce already. I didn't break the home up.
I don't
because
give a damn.
Because you know how people take it and run with it.
Yeah.
She was getting a divorce.
And him on the money.
Right.
What's wrong with that?
Right.
I'm trying to invest in my future.
Right.
See, these dudes kill me. That's what's wrong with this generation today. These young boys today, what do she bring to the table? The hell you mean?
What's your...
Oh my God.
Would you have paid for the divorce? And then sometime, Ingram and Peaceful Life, should a man just pay to make a leave? I mean, I'm torn on that a little bit, man. Because I'm not gonna pay her 100%. I might give her some incentive, but I'm not paying for no damn all of it. She decided to leave, I'm not gonna pay her my hard-earned money and say go on with your life unless I'm just ready to get rid of her. But what's your take on that, man?
Well, the question is always going to be is who's talking, Steve Harvey or Marjorie? And that's the reality. Did she write the words that he's saying right now in this interview? Because I'm sure he's going to go back home and you're going to say, baby, look what I said on Shannon Sharpe about you. Can I get some tonight? That's the type of dude you're dealing with right there. When you see guys like that who talk like that, it's really not them talking. It's the woman behind them talking because she's running him. She controls him. She manages his life. And that's what he's really pandering to not only his female audience, but he's pandering to maybe get some this week. Because remember, in his mind, he knows deep down inside that she really is not attracted to him. That's the type of guy you're dealing with. But in terms of just everything he talks about is about giving women the unearned, paying for the divorce, giving them extra money. They don't have to bring nothing to the table. What he's really doing is telling you how he feels about himself. And what he is a man with money that has low self-esteem. And it's really pathetic to see, but he tries to play a mind manipulation on us, and he tries to shame men so he can come off as powerful. But what he's really saying to us is that he doesn't think he's enough. He doesn't think he measures up to the woman that he's with. Therefore, he has to compensate by saying that she doesn't have to bring anything to the table.
Right.
That's how these simps operate. They're always compensating. They're always trying to pretend like there's some type of, you know what I mean? Like they're just manly men But we're in reality, it's just low self-esteem being projected.
Right. I agree. It's definitely low self-esteem being projected, and I think also it's from the generation, man. Steve Harvey's from a different generation, and I just see it different, man, because the times have changed, man, and I'm not doing all that for no typical modern woman. But
man, what do your ass bring to the table? You got a woman that can come to the table that can make another you. What else she need to slide up to the table with? What?
Let me ask you a question. Which sex determines the identity of a child? The man's sperm or the woman's egg?
The man's sperm. I mean,
he makes no sense, man. Because a man can keep making babies on up to he damn near 7 to 8 years old if he's healthy. So why would you? I'm not saying you don't love your woman, but American men are the only one in general, man, that place their woman value over them, and it's goofy to say the least, man. What was your take on that comment?
Well, again, we get back in the situation where what he's saying that he's doing it all. The reality is this. I think Marjorie has clipped this man's balls. She's put it in a jar. She probably hides it in the pantry somewhere behind the peas and rice. So we're looking at a sackless man that has had his balls clipped. And that's the conversation you have when a man has lost all his power, lost all his strength, lost all his masculinity. To say that a woman doesn't have to bring anything to the table, that means his balls has been clipped. And we have so many of these simps that talk that way. Because that's when you're telling me that you have no standards, that you think that you're nothing. Because if you expect her to bring nothing, that means you think that you're nothing.
Right.
And you think that it's a blessing that she's in your life.
Right. If you don't make a woman bring something, then she'll come in the relationship thinking she's better than you. Women that add to a relationship and work are more committed than men that just pacify and pamper women. Back in the day with chivalry was predicated for women that were virgins, no kids, and they were wife ready. And men will put those women on a pedestal, even though technically they shouldn't have, but it was okay to put a woman on the pedestal then because you had shame and culture shaped the behavior of the woman. What's your take on that?
I totally agree. And, and again, we're dealing with a man who is a decimal of a percentage on the world scale globally in terms of his ability to have power influence with his wealth, right? Mm-hmm. And here he is talking about what value a woman brings to his life. Imagine some billionaire Arab guy over there, and I just flew through Qatar or one of these in the Emirates or whatever. Do they talk like this? He probably has 30 wives, these guys.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But here's this guy talking about what value women, this particular women are bringing into his life. It's just a backwards thinking thing that we have here in the West based upon the type of culture that we have. So, I mean, it's just, again, this is why it's so important, like you always talk about, for men to travel.
Right.
He's talking from a upside down, backwards value system. In my
Right.
Well, how he sees himself and how he sees his value as a man, and he doesn't really even think that he is what he actually is in terms of his achievement. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Mm-hmm. You know.
Yeah, I totally agree, man. I totally agree, and that's why men need to travel and know what their worth is.
What about your job? What happened to men who were supposed to be responsible? Do you know that it's our job to take care of a woman and some children, to have a family? That's our damn job.
But what happens when the woman tell you, I don't need a man, Steve?
Well, they need to what? Okay, if you don't, how that's working? You know, how that's working? Who don't need no man?
I'm independent. I can do for myself.
Yeah, but why do you want to? Yeah, okay, you can drop a transmission. You can say
and see, that's why men, peaceful life, when they know what their value is, they don't settle, because men created the world. Men create the space that women nest in. And when men know how much power they have and what their worth is, they don't continue to settle for mediocrity and allow a woman to use that as a talking point to come into his life. What's your take on that?
Well, the thing about it is this: if that's to tell you right there, how do you lead somebody who doesn't want to be led?
Mm-hmm.
How do you make somebody want you that don't want you?
Mm-hmm.
And how do you force your masculine leadership on somebody in the West living in this culture in this country,
right?
When they're telling you that they don't need a man? So what he's trying to do is tell women what they should want,
right?
And at the end of the day, what Shannon said to him takes away his white knight chips,
right?
What if you told? What if the women say we don't want no man? So that takes away his purpose. Because his purpose is about kissing women's ass. And now he has no more purpose. Now he can't be the white knight simp. Because Shannon just dismantled his purpose and his value. Because he sees everything about his life based upon walking around with this trophy of a woman in his mind that he feels adds value to his life. And he sees his value as having a woman or having that particular woman.
Right.
So when he said, when Shannon said that, he almost basically took away. Now he's trying to reinforce his value back to Shannon. Well, how's that working out if you don't need a man?
Mm-hmm.
You know, that I have purpose. I have value. Look, I'm the white knight. Look, I'm the panderer. These women need us. And that's the problem that you have with a guy like that. Mm-hmm. He's still, even though he's in a decimal percentage of success in life, he still sees his value through being a simp for women, mm-hmm. providing for women that are not even, I would say, high value women. I mean, mm-hmm. even though he's a decimal percentage of a man, that's mm-hmm. how he sees himself.
Right.
And it makes no sense.
Yeah. It doesn't make any sense, man. And it goes back to the minimization of masculinity. Something that Steve is actually doing and he doesn't even realize it. Hold tight.
Blast your house. But hell, do you want to?
No.
If somebody could get out there and drop this transmission for you and sandblast your house, why don't you go get your nails done? I'm not trying to reduce a woman to nothing else. Be all you can be. But damn, who don't need a man? That's a lie. What man don't need a woman? I tell you what. Try to live without them. Try to live your life without women. This ain't about la-da-da, man. This is some bullshit without women. If it wasn't for women, what would you? Aristotle Onassis said it best. He said, if women did not exist, all the money in the world would have no meaning. Dog, women is everything. They'd catch me out.
Oh, that's classic simping, man. He sees his value in life as woman.
Right.
A man who's his purpose and his value. Women is like he sees his value measured through having a woman in his life. Any man that measures his life by a woman, what a woman thinks, having a woman, is not a man. Right. I mean, and he's not talking about purpose. He's talking about women.
Talking about women, right.
What about the Wright brothers who first developed flight? Were they sitting around talking about women, or were they figuring out how to get this bird in the air?
Right.
You know what I mean? So man's purpose have no more meaning, and that's the value he puts on himself. And like I said, you can't make this stuff up with these guys, man. They tell you how they see their lives. So in his mind, he's winning. He's got the trophy wife, and really he's just the laughing stock among men that are masculine men. Like, look at this goofy simp.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's why Corey called him goofy.
I think Corey might be on the damn something, man. He does appear to be damn goofy, man.
But the evidence is right there. He doesn't feel valuable unless he has a woman.
Right. And Steve Harvey got some thinking errors, man, because it's nothing wrong with loving a woman and respecting a woman. But that's why I think Peaceful Life, those strong cultures that are patriarchal,
right,
they tend to be more balanced in how they see women.
Right.
They don't put women on the pedestal. They love their woman, but they don't love women more than they love their purpose. The women tend to respect men more when they love and have a sense of worth and a sense of masculinity. But a lot of times here in America, man, we allow anything, man. I believe men should take care of their women, but it comes with a price, because behavior modification is you got to take care of him and he take care of you. But it doesn't happen here consistently in America. Hold tight.
Lick, man. But these young boys done forgot it because these women out here, they've had to be independent because they ain't got the right man.
Okay.
But
Steve gets it wrong, man. They have to be independent. Being independent, in my mind, to some degree, is a choice. Some of it is a choice. A lot of it is a choice. A lot of it is based on vicarious trauma. But some of these women chose to be strong and independent because they want to prove they were equal to a man. What's your take on that?
Black women in America especially took over the feminist movement. You had Oprah Winfrey, you had all these women out here. They're the number one cry of they don't need no man. All these women, I think Anton Daniels said it best. Most women, modern women out here today, he said it one time, I think we were down in Georgia, where they have about 5 or 6 guys or more in their friend zones that are high quality, good men that would make good husbands, good providers, that would take care of them and look out for them. They don't want those guys. They want the thrill. They want the 6'8" athlete. They want to get the, so they have all had options to get a quality man. And many of them have been out here, chased a career, chased a bag. It is a choice that they make. So Steve Harvey, once again, classic simp move, simp pitted, brings the blame. Anytime you talk about holding women accountable, a simp will switch it back to men. They can't just hold men accountable in this spectrum and hold women accountable over here. They will always switch it back to men. Let's switch it back to men. So that's the fundamental problem. Because see, again, in his mind, he's thinking to himself, I gotta be in servitude to these women. I gotta have value. Imagine I go back to the Arab guys or the Chinese guys or whatever, or one of these guys from these masculine cultures would never ever, a top 1%, or I wouldn't even say 1%, he's a decimal percentage man, would not talk like this in a country that's a patriarchal masculine country. This is complete simp talk. They don't talk like this. In fact, some Russian guy or some multi-millionaire, half-billionaire, they're laughing at us. They don't talk about women like this. They're like,
right.
I've got better things to talk about.
Right.
I have a $1 billion deal on the table to get my oil.
Right.
I don't talk about no women. They're like, what is this madness here?
But guess what? I bet you Marjorie don't even cook and clean, man.
Hell no. Hell no. He hired somebody. He cooking and cleaning.
Yeah. Right. He probably had to schedule when they have sex, man. What's your take on men schedule to have sex with their wives, man?
Madness. Absolute madness. That's complete other ridiculous. And that's, again, see, that's the thing about the West. Because, again, overseas, and that's why, people always talk about some of these women in all these countries, like being crazy, like Thailand and all these other places. And the reason why many of them spaz out like that is because 10 chicks are around the corner looking to take your man.
Right.
You go to like some places like Thailand, right? Or some of these places. There's like 10, 20 women waiting to take your man. So some of them chicks be crazy sometimes. I'm not knocking them. But they know it's competition. Like for a regular dude that's good, that's solid, because they're not government empowered. Even in Africa, in many places. That woman has a good man, that's a good provider. Man, you got like 10, 20 chicks ready to take that dude. So they have to protect those. They have to protect their man. They have to protect their future. And they have to protect their families because it's competition. You see? Here in America, the opposite is true.
Right.
You got 20 simps ready to take your woman.
Right.
Which is decent. It's crazy.
Right. Right. No, I totally agree, man. Hold tight.
But this system of marriage is still good.
Okay.
This system of a man taking care of a woman, that's really how it's supposed to be. All the rest of it's bullshit, man. And y'all need to quit tricking yourself.
This guy's he's a fool, and he means well, but he's a fool, man. Because what Steve Harvey's doing, he's thinking like men from the past, which makes him a gravy trained simp. He's still thinking like his father and his grandfathers. Modern women don't take care of their men when they come down to respecting them and honoring them and supporting them. So why in the hell should a man support a woman just because she's a woman? It makes no sense, man. It makes no sense, man. It makes no sense.
He's living in a twilight zone. And then this is what we have come to in this country, in America. We've just absolutely removed the sacks off of men, took their balls, clip them. And you have these men that are like this. And this, we're talking about, I would like to say 1% men talking in this conversation, right? Imagine to imagine this show. Switch the culture. Let's go to Sudan. Let's go to Ethiopia. Let's go to any of these countries around. You think these powerful men in these countries are sitting around having these types of conversation about women? Mm-hmm. They don't even remember which wives they have sometime. Maybe wife number 28 or some stuff. Mm-hmm. This is the type of conversations men like this have, men at this level of success have in those types of countries. Mm-hmm. Is well, my wife number 15, yeah, she's good. Anyhow, let's talk about the oil now. They ain't not talking about how valuable retired 304s are. They don't got no time for that type of conversation.
And you know what? Everything you're saying is true, because I'm sure when you was in Thailand, the women say that American men treat them better. Am I right or wrong?
Well, they do get treated better. But obviously Thailand has this, Thailand has a transactional nature. I will leave it at that, gentlemen. Not to be a specific culture. Thailand has a very transactional nature, especially in certain areas you go into. I'll leave it at that.
Right. Okay, all right. Let's finish listening to Steve Simp Harvey. Hold on.
So for this new way of thinking, because there's no way of thinking. This new way of thinking ain't getting y'all no damn where. I'm sorry. I got in trouble on one time. This group came after me because I said Marjorie belonged to me.
And they said she's not a possession. She's a person. She's a human.
She is. She mine. What is you talking about? She belonged to me. But I got news for you.
But hold up. I don't have a problem with that if she really belonged to him, because she does supposed to be bone of his bone, flesh of his flesh. But the truth is, Marjorie don't belong to him. In theory, that's true. And a woman, I don't have a problem with that, because if a man is taking care of his woman, she does belong to him. But I think he's delusional if he think that woman really care about him and love him.
That woman don't give a rat's ass about him. Belong to him. She probably had gag reflexes when she watched that. Like, oh, look at this guy. This guy. Like, women like that, like, they really don't like the guy, that they just like the fact that he kisses their butt.
Right, they tolerate him.
Right, so when a guy like that says stuff like that, I mean, she's probably gonna be dried up for about 2 weeks, because it's an absolute turnoff to have a man that she doesn't even respect or is physically attracted to say that to her. She's probably having gag reflexes somewhere. I don't know where she's she's probably like hiding her head under a pillow, that she's so disgusted to listen to that. Like for a woman who's not attracted to a guy, like if that guy was like, let's say Derek Jackson was saying that to his wife, ex-wife. If Derek Jackson said what Steve Harvey just said, it would probably make his wife wet. Mm-hmm. But if a man is not a woman's sexual preference, and he says that to her, you might as well just go ahead and just, she's probably puking somewhere in the bathroom as he says that. That's a turn off for that. That's just the way it is. The woman just does not interested in him. Mm-hmm. But he has to say that to make himself seem powerful, because he said so much simp stuff before this.
Yeah, I agree, man, and it's appalling, but also it's very problematic, to say the least. Yeah.
So she's probably threw up somewhere, and her friends call her, or the coalition is talking about behind her back. You let that guy say that about you, and she said, "Oh, babe, look, you don't understand. I'm just trying to get this money."
Right.
They talking behind the scenes.
See, if you don't like that system, carry your punk ass on. Go do something else, and let me know how they work out for you. I want to belong to somebody.
Right.
I want somebody to belong to me. I take care of my wife and my family.
You know what to do. Hit the subscribe button.
And once again, Peace of Life, we're not saying not take care of your family.
Right.
We're saying make that woman earn it.
Right.
Because when you hear a song by Jaheim say, put that woman first.
Yeah, Marjorie's probably somewhere traumatized right now. Like, oh my God, this guy. Oh God, what I have to do for the money? And you know what? Some women can rationalize a lot of things for money. I mean, you've seen, especially you overseas, you can see some women with some dudes that look like the Crypt Keeper walking around for money. So at the end of the day, you know, women will do a lot of things for money. But conversations like that, you know, it is what it is, man. But he has to talk like that. He has to talk like that.
So what do you mean by he has to talk like that? What do you mean by that? Explain your point.
Well, what I'm saying to you is that he has to, first of all, give himself value and purpose, because he said a lot of simp stuff. Now he has to turn around and try and build himself back up, because he knows the guys like Corey Holcomb is probably going to be coming for him. You know what I mean? Like to masculine men, like Corey said, he looks goofy. He sounds goofy.
Right.
We know that what he's saying really is a projection of his reality, which is that.
So how do you make onboarding and training not suck? Use Trainual, the easiest way to train and grow your team.
Reconnect.
Go ahead, brother. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm saying what he's saying is the opposite of his reality. What he really saying is that I'm Marjorie's bitch, and she's clipped my balls, and after I get home, I'm gonna have to apologize for this masculine talk. You know what I mean? Maybe she handed him the jar for a day, gave him his balls back for a day, but she gonna take them. Soon as he walks to that door, them scissors is coming out of the cabinet, and that balls is gonna get clipped and put back in that jar again. He talk that talk right now. It's over when he gets back home. He might get spanked.
So the question remains, P for life, and it's been a good conversation. We've done a good job.
She taking them balls from the door. You said some things today. Hand me those sacks. Give me them balls back, Steve. Like, Steve, okay, baby, can I keep them for one more day? No, give them back. He has some like, what's that stuff the pickle be floating in? He put his balls in that pickle juice.
Pickle juice.
She clips them off him. She takes his balls off like, oh, Marge, you can have them for one more day. And he put them in the jar. No. And she tightens the jar back up and shit. And she walks away with his balls. Next time, don't talk so sassy, boy.
Hold on, man.
5 right after the.
So, do you think Steve Harvey can really teach boys or anybody about divorce or relationships where he can't even stay married? Before we start, what's your take on him giving relationship advice, man? Because I don't think a man like him can really. Steve Harvey doesn't teach men about coming to marriage based on power. It's about deferring power and placating. In a relationship, men and women both should benefit. I don't see how Steve benefits in this marriage. I don't see how he benefits.
Well, it's kind of like Vanessa Del Rio teaching young girls about virtues and purity and how to become a good wife and mother. Imagine Vanessa Del Rio. God, I think she's gone now, passed away. Imagine her teaching young girls about virtues. That's what it's like Steve Harvey talking to men. I mean, when you have guys that are king simps, or like you have like someone like Tyrese talking about masculinity after he's been getting shamed on national platforms by only yams 304s and stuff. I mean, these guys are really impeached. They cannot really hang around. Like, remember back in the day on these teams, dudes were really getting fights in locker rooms. I've been in like situations where, dudes were throwing blows because you got called out on these things but right now we're in like a no-touch society where people just, social media is big and everybody just say all kinds of stuff. And we're in the pandering world that we're in, and we're in a complete gynocracy where the women are going to protect him because that's their king sim. They're going to protect him. They're probably going to they leave all kinds of comments down below on this channel, on this thing. You guys, you hateful old men. You just wish you could be Steve Harvey. You wish you had the money. And nobody wants to be that simp. Nobody wants to live that type of life. That's a miserable life to live.
It is, man. It is, man. Because you're constantly dealing with the emotions of a woman that's constantly changing. A woman only truly loves you if she can control her emotions for the mission of that relationship. And most don't have the power to do it, man.
But imagine having that kind of. Oh, wait, I'll let you.
Divorced 2006. She
What,
came.
you reconnected. So y'all had dated before?
I dated her in the 80s.
Really?
Yeah, I dated her in the 80s.
I thought they say love is like a McLaren. Once it goes cold, it can't be reheated.
Your mind ain't go cold. Red hot, poker hot, hot tamale hot. I'm talking about Tabasco.
So
it's just I got in trouble.
Right.
When we started dating, I became homeless.
Right.
Wasn't no cell phone.
Right.
I just had a house number. She had a little baby. I figured, what I got to offer this woman? I'm in trouble now.
Right.
So I just drove off. We never had an argument or nothing.
Right.
You know?
Wow. Why did you continue to believe in love? After everything that you've been, like you're telling me you've gone through a divorce and things happened with the taxes and she took half the money, 3/4 of the money. Here I was, thought you were selling your money because you made all this money on Kings of Comedy and you got $1,700 to your name. Why did you believe in love twice? Why did you believe in you could find love again?
Why is love dangerous, peaceful life? And I'm gonna tell you why in my own opinion, then you tell me what you think in your own opinion. But I always tell men that men should love within reason. Because when you fall in love, it makes you an unconscious simp. I see it all the time when men supplement and give their love away, and they give their love away without demanding anything in return. I've had men tell me, peaceful life, that they would be willing to take their woman back after she cheated on them. Why is this whole concept called love problematic in modern times?
Because it weakens in the current culture where there is no virtues, no values, and no standards. It weakens men and takes them away from the logical. So they make horrible decisions because they're in love and they're living in their feelings. And men are not supposed to be operating based on their feelings, supposed to be operating by logic. So if you're operating like a woman and your feelings and your emotions, you're going to make a lot of bad decisions. And they want men operating in their feelings. They want to suppress masculinity. They want to get rid of masculinity. So men would make bad decisions. And I think there's an economic factor behind that, because if men are like that, obviously they're not holding women accountable, and women are the biggest spenders in America. So there's a motive behind it in terms of with capitalism and the current social order or new world order that we have now. But this love thing, and I talk to the boys all the time, and that's why, I can travel places like Thailand and all these other places and have no problems. I keep my heart in a safety deposit box locked up, in a vault.
Right.
I walk around with Thailand with antifreeze running through my body's blood. Bar girls, massage, man, I'm immune to that nonsense.
Right.
For me, when you understand, that's why it's important for men to take the red pill. That's why it's important for men to understand female nature, not be an antisocial recluse and not understand and not, I'm very social in terms of talking to people, but we don't need men operating like this. And that's the problem. Men who operate like this and dealing with love and living in their feelings are very dangerous men.
It is dangerous. Yeah. Very, 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 very dangerous. Hold tight. Go back to Steve Harvey. Hold on for a minute.
I call my mom and daddy. My mom and daddy was married 64 years. I saw what it looked like.
Right.
I saw what it looked like when it was hard, when it was good.
And see, and bingo, peaceful life. That's what's wrong with Steve. And Steve mean well, but Steve is gonna make a lot of these young boys, man, become great trained simps, man, because he's living and looking at his parents. He's looking at marriage and modern relationships through the lens of his mom and dad. And women are not built like those women back then. The great trained simp told women that they should treat modern women the way his dad treated his mom. I was raised like that. My mom and dad still married. My dad is 80. My mom is 73, 74. But my mom came from a different generation. My mom came from a generation where women were virgins. And so did my grandma. But you can't be a great trained simp in these modern times. Shout out to my man Chemistry Emma for the 5. He said, good discourse, gentlemen. I appreciate it, brother. And you're dynamite. Appreciate it, sir.
Kid, a dynamite! You're dynamite!
I watched a man honor a woman. I've never seen nobody love nobody like my daddy loved my mama. That boy with that 3rd grade education, my mama taught my daddy how to read and write. I never seen no.
But that woman, his mama added value on Peaceful Life to his dad's life. His mom was conditioned to be a wife and to serve her father. So women like that, Peaceful Life, we don't mind giving to women like that. Women like that. We don't mind pouring into women that value their men, that honor their men, and respect their men. What's your take on that? Because that's the context we need to look at.
Well, here's the elephant in the room, Kosher. Throughout this whole conversation, 99.9% of Steve's talking points is about what men should be doing for women, how men should be serving women, how men should be worshiping women, how men should be honoring and respecting and loving women. Nothing in this conversation is about what women's supposed to be doing for men.
Right.
Notice the goofy imbalance here.
Right.
I'm talking about a 99 percentile of him going at men and talking about men as what they're supposed to be doing for women. Nothing to do with women supposed to be doing. And that's one of the fundamental problems that we have in life. And that's why so many guys have checked out, and so many guys are into, even they just don't see the value and the purpose. That's why David Brattles is going out of business. That's why all these things are going. Because men are checking, because nobody's talking about what women need to do for men, how women need to compete for good men, what value they need to bring to the table for men. And that's why these goofy simps is so dangerous, because men who are the gatekeepers of relationships are no longer buying.
Right.
Because they don't see, human beings respond to incentives.
To incentives, right.
What incentive is this for men out here to get with a woman that sees life, listening to these pander bears, and sees relationship from a one-sided perspective as a taker, and you talk about carnal hypergamy, they don't see fair exchange. They don't see value. They don't see their life. All they see is their value. All they have to get through a man is open their legs and give him some of that used box. For many of them, I'm not talking about the good sisters. That's all they, because men like Steve Harvey, trying to make them believe that you just show up to the table with some box, and this man has to do everything, put his whole life on the line. And these women are sitting around there. Well, I have a job, I have a career, but I have a box. And these men are supposed to come looking for me and save me and rescue me. Steve Harvey said it. Yes. Remember when he's telling, act like a lady, think like a man, nonsense and 90-day rule? Imagine some woman telling some dude, you got to wait 90 days on some 100 body box. Like they're going to laugh in her face. And they're like, hell no, I'm out of here. So it's a woman like that with 100 bodies. I'm like, yeah, you better make a deal. You're talking to a guy like me, baby. Look, it's a lot of miles.
Well, them damn kind of mouths, man. She don't even qualify to be a wife. Man. You don't qualify to be no damn wife. That's embarrassing. Let me tell you something. I bet you Steve Harvey's dad wouldn't take the typical modern woman now.
Hell no.
Because I promise you, Steve Harvey's mom probably was a virgin. So women like that in that time frame, I think those women should be taken care of. I think men should give those women the best. Low bodies to a virgin, preferably a virgin. But you want a man to pay full price where these chicks have had a lot of fun, haven't been trained right. But you talk about a man supposed to take care of a woman. So what the hell is a woman doing to take care of a man, like you said earlier? Nothing, but demanding something without giving anything.
Imagine if you was in sales. Mm-hmm. Imagine you're selling marriage to men, selling relationship to men. Okay, we want you to buy this product. You have to worship and serve it. You have to give up your resources, take on all the legal challenges and responsibility. If it fails, you're going to have to lose 75, 80% of your assets and probably lose your kids. Your job is to her happiness, serve her, worship her, take care of her, and she doesn't have to do anything but bring box to the table. Who would sign up for that deal? And that's what Steve Harvey is selling. Again, 99% of his conversation is about what men need to be doing for women. Right. And that's why men are not buying. Right. And that's what women don't understand. Steve Harvey is your worst enemy because he's putting no qualifications on you, and all the men are just listening to. That's why YBM, That's why all these different groups up. That's why men's content is expanding. Passport Bros, men's content, Red Pill. It's just getting worse because when you see women in these spaces, especially on TikTok, I call it the female loser platform, self-esteem builder, the loser chick platform, TikTok. All they're doing is projecting about first of all, they talk about a lot about how to scam men. Secondly, projecting a value or an expectation of men when they offer absolutely no value at all. And the dudes are like, man, I'm not participating in this. Even if the guys don't go overseas, that's what people don't understand. If you take Passport Bros and all that stuff out there, these guys are not participating. They'll just be guys to check out. They might, what's that Black Ram said? They might catch and release. Right here in America. But even if you took away all those things, the men are still not buying into a system that offers no incentive and no value. It was like that before Passport Bros and all these other things were created, these terms or these catchphrases. Men were still checking out. That's why MGTOW and all these things were created, because the men are just like, nah, I ain't doing that.
Right. I totally agree, man. I totally agree. And that's why Steve's conversation is so dangerous to modern men.
Nobody love, nobody like. Slick Harvey loved Eloise Vera. He'll kill you about her. And he embedded that in me and my two brothers.
But once again, it's nothing wrong with that. I don't have a problem with that because that was a different time when the women were different. Don't have a problem with that. But using that mindset with the modern woman, man, will make you a sucker for love, man.
You'd be a statistic.
Right.
Anybody say anything about your mama, get that ass right there, right then. If you can't get that ass, come to this house, get your brothers, but go back and get that ass. She off limits. Ain't no jokes about your mama, ain't no nothing. That carried me to this day, man. You can't say nothing about Eloise Vera Harvey. She off limits, man. We ain't playing them games.
Right.
You start that your mama shit up at the school, we finna fight. When they was suspending me for fighting, my daddy said, what was you fighting for? I said, he said something about mama. He said, okay.
He embedded that like, okay, how he felt about your mother, his wife, you carried that with your...
I just saw it, man. I went, wow, that's...
You can't carry that with Marjorie Harvey, man. Come on, talk to us, Peaceful Life. You can't carry that with your wife in modern times. Because your wife in modern times was with drug dealers. Right. She was with worthless, she was with unsavory men. And I'm sure a woman like her probably was, had a lot of fun and been ran through. So how can you value her like your mother that was a totally different woman? A woman that was raised different in different times where she valued her body, she valued God. Those women in that time were God-fearing women. Women now are not God-fearing. They don't have no shame. So Steve, you mean well, but you sound ignorant. Go ahead, Peaceful Life.
But he's back to doing the same thing. All men, every man, if anybody says anything about we feel the same way about our mamas. We all men would get into a fight or blows if you say something about their mama. But that's not what Steve really is trying to do. He's trying to keep the topic back on worshiping women.
Right.
And trying to make it now he's just getting to pure virtue signaling.
Right.
Pure caping.
Right.
And he's trying to make himself sound noble and honorable when all he is really is just a simp and a trick.
Right, I totally agree. Shout out to my man Top Gun. And those guys can be dangerous, Ingram, like we were saying earlier. Those men that say, "Oh, my mama," man, they can be dangerous because they operate emotional. At least Steve Harvey had a father, but can you imagine some of these boys that don't have no fathers? And you say something about their mama, and this is what happens.
Yeah, put chain on them. Balls on my mom. They be broken balls. Kill some of my mom. Bro, like, you look like...
That's on my monkey. That's on my monkey. That's on my monkey.
Yes, on my mom.
Word, man. They ticking time bombs over there, man.
It's on my mama, man. Hold tight.
Ticking time bombs.
How you do it?
And so you never had that before. In all your relationships before, in the marriages, you never had that. What he had with your mom, you never had that.
My first marriage, I got married when I was 24. I wasn't the man my daddy was.
Okay.
I was trying to do something he was doing that I ain't had equipment for.
Okay.
I ain't know how to problem solve, navigate, negotiate. I didn't know how to shut up in the argument.
Right.
I was just losing arguments because I kept them going.
Right.
I messed that up. The second one, yeah, that one right there, dog. That's just need another drink.
And the second one, they say Steve Harvey was mean to his wife, Ingram, Peace of Life. Say he was mean to her. He cheated on her, and he left his second wife for Marjorie Harvey. So how can you take Steve Harvey serious, man?
No, nobody can take him serious. Nobody. He left on some thirst stuff, simping. He went. He left. You know, and you know what I'm saying. Yeah. What man says that I didn't know how to shut up in an argument? Isn't that something that men say that women don't know how to do? Which is knowing to stop. That's women even say that about themselves. Well, you got to learn how to not argue with these men because men like peace. They need to learn. No, women need to learn how to be quiet. That just tells you right there he's the woman of the relationship because he's dry snitching on himself. I didn't know when to shut up in an argument, and what he's doing again also is pandering to his wife.
Right.
If you let these dudes talk long enough, they're
telling themselves.
They're telling themselves.
Right. I totally agree. Hold tight.
I just said I don't do two, but you got me in here now. You got me in here deep, Shannon.
Oh, so okay, the second one. Obviously, that was the worst one. Normally, after a really, really bad traumatic experience, you're like, I'm done with this. It ain't for me.
I was. Let me tell you something, man. When I got divorced in 2005, I was living in Trump Towers in New York.
Right.
On 48th and 1st.
Yeah.
I said, after that, this is what I'm finna do. I had learned about private jet travel and stuff by then. Even though I ain't had no money, I had just signed this other contract trying to get back from that 1700. I said, I'm gonna put bus schedules on my walls. I'm gonna have arrival and departure times.
Right.
That's how many women I'm finna roll up in here in 60B. Bus schedules, arrival and departure times. I'm finna roll them up in here on a continuous basis. I'm finna live my best life. God said, no, you ain't.
Oh, I was gonna say, you about to be Nick Cannon before Nick Cannon then, huh?
From precision robotic surgery to custom 3D printed.
Nick is different. I know where the drugstore at.
That's funny.
So you was like, okay.
I'm sorry. I don't want to say. Sorry, Nick.
You said, okay.
Nick, I don't know where that came from, Nick.
Let me ask you a question, Peace of Life, real quick. Hold tight. Shout out to my man Top Gun. He said, so his dad taught him to fight for his mama, but didn't teach him how to be a husband. That's a good point, Top Gun. I didn't even look at it like that. That's a good point. That's a good point. But, Peace of Life, real quick. Being a single man, what kind of freedom have you had being a single man, being back out here in these streets, man?
Well, it's a hell of a lot of freedom. But one thing what happen is you get spoiled with the peace. Right. That's the crazy thing. Not that, if somebody's in a good relationship, they're going to have peace as well. But in general, the freedom and the peace is wonderful. What you do have, though, is that a lot of people try to, I call it relationship shame you. Especially the women, especially the ones that you're not interested in, or they try and pretend that there's something wrong with you because you're especially if you own your own house, your own car, you're squared away, you got your life together, and you ain't messing with them. They'll call you all kinds of things, from gay to what's wrong with you, who hurt you, or why you ain't trying. Everybody's not the same, and why you ain't trying to get in with this person or get with that person. And I always tell them I enjoy my peace and freedom, and I'm enjoying my life.
Right.
And that's what because there's so many single women out here. There's a lot of single women out here.
Right.
And that's really the reality. Is the question becomes, are they women that you want that's going to add any value to your life?
Right.
And that becomes the issue now, especially when you get into this secondary dating market, where a lot of women are really looking for security. A lot of women are coming to the table with a lot of baggage from past relationships. And I think living in peace and living quietly, especially if you've been married before, you've went through all the rigors of that and whatever else, it's really hard to give up this peace. To be honest with you, it's really hard to give it up because you know what you have every day, and it's enjoyable. I mean, we're not, social isolates, but
Gail and Knight made a great point. She said, "This is the first I've heard when a man raises his son to be a son husband, respect mama, but the women, wives, and mother of your children ain't important." And that she got a very valid point, man. Very valid point. Because you would think that your dad taught you to respect your wives too. So it's like Steve Harvey was selective in respecting the women in his life. What's your take on that?
Absolutely. And it's just this super pandering thing with him. He's back again pandering to women because he know women like this idea of a man talking about his mama and how he feels about his mama and honoring his mama and whatever else. Again, we back to the 99 percentile, all about everything that has to do valuing, worshiping, serving women. He doesn't really, he's not really getting into his father in terms of how he is valued and respecting his father. That is not in regards to serving a woman. Like you never hear him talk about his father as a man isolated. It's always about how his father treated his mother. Mm-hmm. Everything is in servitude to a woman. He never says that, hey, my dad taught me a whole lot about masculinity and manhood as it relates to being a man on my own and the principles of masculinity and manhood that I need to survive in the world of men amongst men. It always comes back to a woman with him. And that just tells you his mindset and mentality completely.
Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah, I totally agree, man. I totally agree. It's the minimization of masculinity. And I see it happen so many times. I see it happen in therapy where men will say, my mission is to make sure my wife is happy. But I said, but what about your happiness? Because see, men have been conditioned to do the masculine is doing. I said, what about your happiness? You have inherent worth as a man too. There's nothing wrong with making your wife happy, but she should be making you happy as well.
Swear to God, it's a Kevin Hart prank. I didn't mean to say that. I don't even know. Did I just say I know where the drugstore is?
You just said that.
I don't even know where that came from, man. See, that's that gift that just found.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, that was the plan.
How did you and Marjorie reconnect?
God said, no, you're not. No, you're not. You're not finna do that. You finna get yourself together. Now, you done lost everything twice.
Twice.
You want to do it again? You want to do it again, or you want to see what I got for you?
You like a cat, Steve.
The day after my divorce, I went to Vegas.
Okay.
I'm gambling. My bodyguard Boomerang on the phone talking to this girl named Sharon in Memphis. He asked about Marjorie. He said, Marjorie doing pretty good now? And I hadn't talked to her in years.
Right.
Boom tapped me on my shoulder and said, hey, man, I got a phone call. Right. I said, dog, I'm gambling. I don't talk to nobody. He said, no, dog, you need to take this phone call. So I thought something was wrong. So I got up from the roulette table. I said, hello. She said, boy, what you want? I said, Marjorie? She said, yeah. So I just said, so how your punk ass husband doing? That's the first thing I said. Because he's a punk ass dude to me. I still hold strong to that one. I've never retracted that statement.
Okay.
I said, how your punk ass husband doing? Because I had heard she had got married.
Right.
She said, boy, I've been divorced 3 years.
Uh-oh. Light bulb go off? You start smiling?
I'm talking about, man, like a head, like a...
Damn. You there, peaceful life?
I'm trying not to throw up on my floor.
Right. Hold on for a minute. They'll do that, man. They'll do it if you play too much of it, man. Shit is crazy, man. Hold tight. I'm coming back, man. You there?
Who, me?
Right.
I'm here, man. I'm just trying to keep my food down, man. That is okay. Let's take this logic, okay? Let's say I've had a woman, and I've been pounding her vigorously for the last 6 years.
Right.
Slamming her, pounding her, throwing her around my establishment now, right?
Hey, hold tight. We're gonna bring it back on the other end. Hold tight. We're gonna come over with another stream. Keep talking. Tell them we got another live stream coming up. Go ahead.
All right. So let's say, for instance, I've had a woman and I've been slamming her vigorously for the last 6 years, right? You see that woman, right?
Right.
And you say to that woman, you know, what's your punk ass doing? Okay. Let's say you able to take that woman from me and you got that woman.
Right. I'm listening.
At the end of the day, you're still eating my leftovers.
Right.
You're still kissing my nuts.
Right.
I already had my fun with her. How is that a masculine thing to bring?
Right.
Going after another man, kissing what he's already kissed and pounded out. How you feel like more of a man by getting what another man has already used? Does it make you feel like a man? Why would you brag about getting licked food? Or you know what I mean? Like, oh, I saw him eating that burger over there. It looks delicious. He was just chewing on them fries. I went over there and I snatched it and I ate it. What does it sound like? That no masculine man even thinks like that.
Right.
You know what I mean? There's some dudes that will pound out somebody's wife in the middle of the night, but bragging about another man's leftovers. I mean, you can make an argument that all of them are man's leftovers, but no, like you going after a woman that's married. You're a 1% man, or 1%, and this is the type of conversation you think makes you look powerful. You know,
I agree, man.
So, because what if that guy said to Steve, well, how does my nuts taste? You kissing them lips? You know where them lips has been at? You know what I did with those lips, Steve? Now, how would he feel about that? You know,
right.
You know the things your woman has done to me. I hope she does the same thing to you, buddy. You know, now what do you do now? You see, dudes know better than if they getting retired 304s, you better not brag about it. Because the dude that had it before can always flex on you like, yo, man, I've been there, done that for years. Now, what are you going to say to him? You married it, man. That's on you. And, you know, so not only that, I birthed kids through her. So,
right.
You know, my DNA is going to be floating around in her and that polyunsaturated fat in her brain for eternity. How are you celebrating that?
Hold on, man. Hold on. Hey, we gonna do part 2. You're a fool, man. You're a fool.
I'm saying, like, how you celebrating, like, coming after being the second dude? You're a 1% man. You celebrating pounding dudes' leftovers.
Right.
That doesn't make any sense to you, man.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. But that's what happens when simping ain't easy.
That's like a dude. Yeah, like that's like a dude celebrating 304s. You know what I mean? Like, man,
Hey, hold up.
How's that punk ass husband that you doing? That punk ass husband has pounded her out for the last how many years and birthed her with kids and probably shot his semen on her forehead.
Hold tight.
I can't make this shit is crazy. How you celebrate that?
Hold on. Listen, we go.
Oh, you guys are killing me, man. How you celebrate that? Oh, your punk ass husband dude that is nutted in you for the last, all your punk ass have done. He's nutted in you for the last 8 years. I want that used leftover. He didn't. Maybe there's something left for me. How's that punk ass doing? He's still nutting in you? Yeah. Steve Harvey, man. You can't make this shit up. You know what I mean? Like, how you do that?
Hey, hold on. We're going to end the stream, man. We're going to end the stream, and we're going to start the next one. All right, hold tight. We're going to start the next one. All right, hold tight, Ingram.